Leche. Leche. Leche.
Introducing PubCoin. PubCoin is the rewards program for pub sports contributors. Regular chat contributors share their play of the day, POD, in the YouTube chat, including the phrase POD in their message. At the end of the week, the amount of units earned are converted into PubCoins. PubCoin can be used as reward points for prizes, shop discounts, and contests.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Mills here, Pub Sports Radio. Do you guys want to challenge the personalities here at Pub Sports Radio? Do you guys think you're better than them at entering in your MMA predictions and picks? Would you want to get paid for it? $100? Here's how you do it, man. You sign up right here at the link below. It's just this easy. PubSportsRadio.com. Enter your email. Pick your weekly picks. That's it. Oh, and you get bonus points if you can predict how they're going to win in what round. Every single week, a new winner's getting crowned. So every Saturday on Pub Sports Radio. So come on and check us out. You can win $100 just for signing up. Only thing you need to do is see if you can beat us here at Pub Sports Radio by entering your UFC predictions and picks weekly. Do it. I dare you. See you guys soon.
Your membership to Gold, you will be automatically entered in every horse race, every Wednesday and Friday. It is time to race horses. We are racing camels today.
Shout out to the Gold members. We're racing in San Antonio immediately here. And we're off. 2 minutes, 74 canals on this racetrack. It's wide. We're racing in San Antonio.
Matt Wally moving forwardly. Jeff Slaughter in the mix as well. And as is Randall Sheffield, who's put that beautiful nose out front.
But it's actually real grass here, Jimmy. Maybe Kentucky bluegrass. Oldie, no! There he goes. There he goes. Oldie in the lead now. K. Wolf falls back. The horses love it. Sometimes they stop and eat it on the way to the finish line. That's why your horses start so far in the back. Oh, look at Nuss Flush Allen bursting out here. J-Dub in the mix. Rude Boy up here as well. Jimmy, take it away.
There's Oldie. Oldie is moving to the front. We are past the halfway mark in our 2 mile. And there's Ricky Levy.
Oh my goodness, he's in the mix here. Jimmy, take it home. This is our first dog race ever.
19 seconds left in the horse race here. It's Fernando Mendoza trying to find the wire. 14 seconds left. Can Fernando Mendoza take this home? Here comes Kenny Can. Kenny Can wants a piece of the pie. Put his schnoz up front. Ricky Bobby, 9 seconds left. Can Donuts still make a run? Can Red Small make it to be $50?
You son of a bitch!
Here comes Tori Coker. Kenny Can Smoking Mirrors. Director 97 home. That is way to Jason Meyer, the other auto custodian. Billy Friedrich. Joe's one all coming down to the finish.
Coin! Nowhere!
Oh no! Fanatical Jim!
Get 'em, Jimmy, where low shack at? The bottle's getting empty, up the cracking, we stacking. Chips, all of this, what I want, plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone, I prefer elevated Pub Sports Radio. Time to get educated, who can produce, play the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call the truth. They get slaughtered, can't forget Jeff and Low Baggers in the chat. That's a little weapon, cause we need, oh yeah, pubbing. We be pubbing!
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Thursday, October 3rd to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. We have a great group of games for us to attack today. Just 5 for, Thursday night action. But, and this is a giant, I guess just 4, but we have 11 best bets on weekend college football from Bobano. And we're racing for $150 today. Cody Norton, new worker, giving back the cash to the squad. $150 to one of our PSR Gold members. Will there be new Gold members? That's the question, because there's $150 up for grabs. We're going to run heats today. We're going to run camel heats, baby. Camel heats for all the cash. Now we will start moving closer to thoroughbred races as we get closer to the Breeders' Cup. And shout out to Forever Young. Look, City of Troy is a monster, but Forever Young just won the Japan Derby, and I don't know how. I mean, Forever Young's got to be on our card at the Breeders' Cup Classic. Got to be, right? Got to be on the card. Forever Young has piqued my interest. I'm pumped up, man. I'm pumped up. I just don't get to do this enough anymore with football season here and all of our live streams, which have been financially very rewarding. I'm thankful for it. But I only get Thursdays and Fridays with you, and I'm really happy to be here rocking with the squad. Truth Teller in the house says hello. Jimmy and the fam got SGP. He's on Bucky Irving over 44.5 rush yards. Bucks total points over 20.5. I like that. And he's got a long shot look at 20-1 with Bijan over. That's got to be Bijan over or is that really just 12.5 for Bijan over and 8.5? Wow. Okay, so you're just bringing all those rush yard props down for the 20-1 with the Cousins interception, Bucks money line, and Bucks team total over. We'll copy and paste both looks, Truth Teller, my friend. Let's get that locked and loaded. Looking forward to cap this Thursday night football game with you, and looking forward to rock with you guys on Thursday night football. We're on a nice run with live action. I had a run like this last year on live action. I'm just 6 for 7 of my last 7 on the show. But I have a run across all sports and live action that's, I didn't even want to talk about it. There's on a bit of a streak, a giant streak. Last time I was on the streak, I talked about it. I said how many I had cashed in a row, and it, came to a conclusion. So I'm not going to talk about it now. Justin McKelvey here, Churio, over 1.5 bases at plus 133. And UTEP, first half plus 5.5. I moved on UTEP. Justin. And I thought very hard about taking them first half instead. In the past, these dogs between 9 and 14, I've had much more success just backing them first half. And I didn't here. I took them full game. So we'll talk about maybe adding that. I don't know. We'll have to see what Bobano thinks about that look, because that's my only look on tonight's action. Romeo Caglano in the house. Goran Ninkovsky ready to get to work. He's on Panathinaikos in Greek basketball, minus 8.5. NJ Striker ready to get to work. And Goran also on Tampa, plus 2.5. Wine Time Sports in the house. I got a message from our Wine Time Sports, and he said, take a good look at the Washington Huskies this week. And I did last night. Spent a little time on the game, and I was like, ooh, Wine Time. You got another banger, I think. I tailed him on Washington. The tricky thing was whether to take money line or the minus 2.5. It was tricky. And the money line at 365 was minus 135. At Pinnacle is minus 139. At 365, the money line was minus 135, and the minus 2.5 was minus 125, which is ridiculous. But the Pinnacle gave me the minus 113 on 2.5, and I took it. But that was the, I wonder if I should have just paid the cost there for the full game money line. But Wine Time Sports, all the records are caught up. I told you guys I would do it. It was painstaking yesterday, but it was my fault. I fell behind on the records. But I caught up, and these guys are winning. Wine Time is winning big, and so is Dabby. Now their full records are better than the records that they have here on our show. because it has to be a game that they talk about on the show for it to count on the records. But wow, is our friend Wine Time delivering here on the show? And again, he's doing better with his full amount of action. But here, just on our show, he's 18-12, hitting ROI at 15.5% plus 4.65 units. He's been incredibly good. Shout out to our guy Wine Time. We got Nicholas Handy ready to go. Bo Jackson, Series Business. Tom Leach, the Clark Edge, Donut Silks. Tom Leach says that under 7.5 in the Tigers game was a sweaty one. I crashed back to earth with the unders in the San Diego game. Could have handled things a little different. But 3-2 in the playoffs. It sucked because I've been climbing back, trying to get to the black so badly. And took a couple L's last night on those unders. Now, I got the under 9.5 and under 10.5. I bet them twice, so I almost made I came close to making back what I'd lost on the pre-flop. But still, as long as this account here, it's not as long. This is not the right way to put it. But I like having this live account locked and loaded for action. Nordy in the house. Great to see you, Nordy. Great to see all you guys, man. I'm happy to be back in action, dude. I'm ready to rock with you guys. Am I lying in the house? Donut Silks says Mets Milwaukee series is costing me cash. I can't wait to talk about that with Jose. Let's roll. Tom Leach said, made my season to see the cheating Astros get knocked out by Detroit. Okay, Tom Leach says karma's big. That's what our Tom Leach says. I mean, look, the Tigers are 33-13 over their last 46 games. I know a lot of you guys move future market on them. I tell you what I want to do is take the Padres to beat the Dodgers. But I haven't moved on yet. And hopefully, Jose, I'd like to talk about that too. Your thoughts on that. We'll go over the futures numbers there because I didn't put anything on them to win the division, which was tricky. I know some of you guys got some huge numbers on that, but I stayed off of that. I kept my futures very clean in MLB. I'm ready to muck it up, man. Romeo Caglano, yes, we got the Pryor shirt on. The GOAT, the King. Financially free and focused. His teaser starts tonight. Bucks plus 7.5. And my line says time to watch Dodgers get swept. I don't know if that is if we can do that. I don't know if we can do that, but we'll fire. Kong, you want to pop in today sometime after 12 o'clock for a few college plays? Yeah, I mean, Kong, I try to keep everything real tight and clean with graphics and preparation. So if we want to start doing that, if we could get a hold of me ahead of time, so then I can prep the games and study the games. But yeah, let me know when you're off, and we'll figure out how to make that, or when you have your lunch break, we'll figure out how to try to make that work because we obviously want to know what your action is. Tom Leach, Tigers first 5 plus a half, Tigers plus 1.5 and under 7.5 says that was a beautiful thing. Great job. Great job from all you. There's Nuke Worker giving back 100 American. We're up in Kanata, and that 100 Americans, like 135, 140 bucks. Nuke just gave back. He just gave back to all of us. Al Cervic in the house. Aaron D ready to go. Red Girl, great to see you. Randall Sheffield, the Skunk Blaster. There's our two guys who just gave the money right back to the community. $150 up for grabs. Whose camel's going to be the fastest? Earl Sports Bets says in desperate need of a Quintana masterclass, first 5 under 4 in MLB. And I get it. I have some interest in it. I get it. But I have not moved on the first 5 under or the full game under in this one. DC Capper, Dougie Wise, Pipe Layer, Joe Todero in the house, Ryan Superman Spawn, and Love is Inside the Distance prop to make it 6 straight wins for the Planted Flag Fighter of the Week. What a monster you mean. You had that streak before this one started. You're a monster, Joey T. We got 2 Joey T monsters, Joe Todero and Joey Thompson. Yes, Tom Leach says that Washington -3 on Bet365 is annoying. I mean, you can take the alt lines, but yes, I found it tricky too, and then used Pinnacle for that. Detroit Rob in the house, ready to go. Rob McMahon ready to eat. The Clark Edge says Troy 9 and over is Texas State now getting plus 13.5. Is Texas State that good? I can't wait to talk about that game. I found that. I mean, I don't think it's Texas State being that good. I think it's Troy being so bad. I mean, it's They look horrific right now. So I think that's the deal. And this is Jared Parker's Trojans. This is not the John Summerall Trojans. Billy Friedrich says NHL begins tomorrow. Yes, we've got the Gear Up games. We'll be capping right here. Mike Wilkerson ready to go. The Chosen One. Billy Friedrich ready to go. Sweaty Butcher in the house said, post a surf and turf on Twitter. But the lines have moved so much, I'm going to cook up another one for the people. So I'll respect. Sweaty Butcher will be on our live stream tonight. I love it. Can't wait to rock with Sweaty Butcher. He'll be on our Thursday night live streams. And Earl says, love of the Padres to beat the Dodgers. We'll probably add them to win the series. Got pennant plus 1,600 and World Series plus 3,500. Rodney Barton is angry today. Says $1,000 in the hole in 2 days. Backing his Orioles. Says, can we fire Hyde? Team 0-10 in the postseason. Can't take it anymore. I did feel bad for you guys, without a doubt. I did feel bad. That was a. I mean, these last two playoff years have been horrific. I mean, just like it couldn't get worse. So yeah, I get it. I get it. Free and Focus Financial Free and Focus says same game Thursday night. Football prop parlay. Any ideas? Yes, we've heard from Truth Teller, but we're going to be talking about that here shortly. MLB play of the day. Dog is in, and it is the Mets from our guy Ron Crawford. So let's get that up here so we can discuss it, and let's get to work, shall we? Kelly McInnes in the house. Al Cervic says Vita Vey full practice yesterday. Look, okay, we'll talk. I will talk all about the football game once we get there. And JP says so much Dodgers hate. Look, we're jealous. We're all jealous. That's okay. Look, we're jealous of the Padres too. Rich baseball teams. It's not only that they're rich baseball teams, it's that team players want to go play there. You know, it's not like Toronto's a poor baseball team with Rogers running things. It's just that nobody wants to come up here and pay these taxes. Peyton Weems ready to get to work. UPK Ayash Yala in the house. Let's copy and paste our action from UPK. Get this here locked and loaded. And let's get to work. Let's get to work here and bring on my co-host here on Betting with the Bag, the producer of this show. My co-host also in the Cappers Contest show, which will be at 3 p.m. Eastern today. Please welcome from San Antonio, Texas, home of the Southtown 101, the best bar in Texas, and home of a big, big card show that we are a big part of here at Pub Sports Radio. There are still tables available for the Alamo Card Show. Hit that email on the bottom of the screen if you're looking for a table at the Alamo Card Show. We're going to have a table there. Jose will be live rocking Pub Sports Radio. So we're going to be a big part of the Alamo Card Show. So if you're looking for a table as well, hit that email at the bottom of the screen. Without further ado, please welcome our guy, Mr. Jose Bouquet. Jose, how are you, my friend?
Jimmy, I'm doing well. I didn't even check and see if I'm on my mic, and I'm not. Here we go. Great start, but we're doing better now. No complaints. You know, we're 4-2 on the postseason so far. I've basically only bet unders, and it's been a great time. So
yeah, could have been better.
I've been lucky, and I've avoided the last. I did not bet the unders in this series. I've not bet any of them. They've obviously all been overs. I bet yesterday's under in the last game. Padres, obviously that went over. But overall, I've been the first two series were money, and I think we're hopefully going to get more to come. Jimmy, another question. You talked about potentially covering series prices. Are we covering Saturday's games tomorrow?
Yes, we'll cover Saturday's games tomorrow. Yes, most definitely.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Just wondering.
No, it's a must happen here. Also, Rodney Barton says, take my James Madison Dukes to win the Sun Belt. Book it now before it drops below plus 250. Let's get to work. And yes, Rem Mosta, it's not the Alamo Dome as I was hoping, but it is the Alamo Card Show.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing, Just imagine the Alamo Dome.
I thought, Slaughter rents out the Alamo Dome like it's not no thing, man. That's what I thought. Like it's no thing. All right, let's get to work here in Major League Baseball. So are you in the black on the season then?
Yeah, technically.
Why don't you have that record up? You know how aggressive it looks? You want 4, because when you have 4-2, when you have your playoff record, it makes it sound like you got crushed in the regular season and you are hiding that record. That's what it sounds like.
Wow.
And you see many cappers do that in our business. So I just tell you, that's my first instinct when I see your playoff record. You fought all year long to get into the black, and now you're just, not going to show that?
No, it's 2.88 units for 1,000 bets. So I'm not too proud of it, but I like keeping them separate. But no, fine, I'll show both.
I would not. If you want, cappers keep those separate when they lose in the regular season.
Well, I don't know what it's like to win in the regular season. Sorry, this is my first time.
It's all good. It's all good. It's just that you'll see, that's why you don't see cappers year-long records. They tell you what they've done in the last week or the last month or whatever benefits them selling picks. And my
last week, Jimmy, my last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Great.
So we are transparent here, regardless of how embarrassing my MLB record is. It's not as embarrassing as it once was. Let's roll. My dude coming off a strong regular season here. And Slatsy's saying Bet365 offering a free pair of the Bucks Falcons go over 50 points. Now this game is going under. We already heard from DJ 100 Grand, who I used to rock with on screen when I was down in Costa Rica, whom I love. Great capper. He's on the under 43. We'll talk all about that. But let's get to work here in Major League Baseball. Jose, this is fun. This is extremely fun now that we can just, don't feel overwhelmed by the diamond, and we can focus on these games. Also, in this one, we have the Ron Crawford spreadsheet dog play of the day, and it is Nicholas Earle's New York Mets. Shout out to our friend Ron Crawford. So let's roll here,
Break
my
their
friend.
Hearts, Jimmy. I saw your action. Break their hearts.
Yeah, look.
Break them. You're acting all nice right now. It's like, just stomp it out, Jimmy. Stomp it out right now.
So look. I'm down 12, almost 13 units on the season. So if I'm on the other side, there's no need to be uncomfortable. But what I saw, Rodney Barton is sitting here lamenting his Baltimore Orioles because when pushes come to shove all season long and last year in the playoffs, they showed no heart and they showed no character. What we've seen from this Milwaukee Brewers team since day one of this season with no Craig Counsell was a team full of heart and a team full of character playing good baseball. And the comeback victory yesterday is the kind of victory that the momentum leads you right into the World Series. That city was buzzing. That clubhouse was buzzing. It was their youngest player on the field. It was a role player. It was I think the Brewers are going to carry that momentum here today and win the baseball game. And when I saw the market correlating, I took the -1 line for the score. That's what I think here. So I am on the Brewers -1 at +121. Let's go over all of this here. Don't need to worry about weather. 66 at first pitch goes down to 62, but we can assume that the roof will be closed here. Let's get to yes. New Crawford says he wants the music in his intro changed. It's so good though. It's so good. Right? People love the music. You're muted, Jose. I wish I could hear what you were saying.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I have a long list of things I have to do, and that is amongst the things that I have to do, yes. And by the way, there we go. We're changed. We're back here. Regular season. I have regular season record on there, but it's playoff and regular season now.
Yes, of course it's playoff and regular season. I mean, look at that record. That makes you fought all year long for that, and you want to make it look like you got killed? Let's get to work here. We start with the total. This total is at 7.5. It opened up at 8 at 10:54 p.m. and it moved to 7.5 4 minutes later. The 7.5 got juiced up to -120. That was the high water mark. It's sitting at -119 right now. So I can understand anybody who would want to be on an under in this game. And the first 5 under. This first 5 under opened up plus 107 to the under. It's now minus 104 to the under. So we've had 11 cents of movement towards that under. On the money line, or the full game. On the money line, we have Pinnacle at minus 125. That was right around when I moved on it. I knew that the public is on the Brewers, and I wanted the market to show some sign of concern, and I believe that's happened. Right now we have, let me just refresh this, see if it's still, now we have 71% of the tickets and 89% of the cash, so it's a very public spot. It is an extremely public spot here. So look, I get it. So here we go. These Brewers, 47-34 at home this year, were good. The Mets were a great road team, 43-38. You have Jose Quintana. Both him and Sean Manaea were revelations. Old lefties that the league had sort of given up on. Not Quintana as much as Manaea, and they both are a big part of the reason why the Mets are here. And me being on the Brewers is not slamming the Mets in any way or saying that they don't have character, because they have a lot of character. They've been great this year. Quintana and Tobias Myers just faced each other. It was a 6-0 win for the Brewers. Quintana went 4 1/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 9 Ks, and 2 walks. It wasn't great. He had a bunch of great starts before that. On the road, 5-5. He's thrown 86 1/3 innings. He's been solid there, 3.86 ERA. He's only allowed 5 home runs over 86 1/3 innings with a 241 opponent's batting average. I think Tobias Myers is a very good young pitcher, 26 years of age, highly thought of prospect. He went 4 innings in that 6-0 win at home. He didn't allow a run. 3 ERA, 1.17 whip. At home, he was excellent, 4-1, 2.86 ERA. Now, he allowed 10 home runs over 69 1/3, but those home runs were cut drastically in the second half of the season. 213 opponent's batting average. The Mets aren't hitting righties, and the Brewers aren't hitting lefties. They have very, very similar numbers. Mets versus righties in September and on, 221, 659 OPS. Braves versus lefties, 217, 656 OPS. So where is the biggest difference here? The biggest difference maker in this is the bullpen. And the Mets don't have a bad bullpen, but the Brewers have an elite bullpen. An elite bullpen that I will trust here to take care of everything, because we know there is going to be some very high leverage spots, and they are going to come early in probably the 5th inning. I would imagine the 5th inning, at the latest the 6th inning. And I trust the Brewers to take care of those high leverage spots, and I don't trust the Mets to do it. Jose Bouquet, I'm on the Brewers -1 plus 121. Take it away.
Yeah, so I don't have a look on the side. I haven't really bet sides all postseason. Been just kind of watching on that aspect. But if I did, admittedly, I would be on the Mets. The market has, like you said, moved towards the Brewers. It opened up a lot of places -110. Now it's up to -124-ish. And I was just going to sit back and watch it. If it continues to climb, then, maybe. But a lot of money in bets on the Brewers is the thing that obviously has got me to stay off on that side. And I really did think the Mets were going to win this series. Jimmy, this is the second time that a team is forced to Game 3. No team has lost the series going up 1-0 in the wild card era so far. So there's a lot of stuff going that way. The last team to force a Game 3, or the last team that was in a Game 3, I guess, the New York Mets against the Padres, and that was the Joe Musgrove ear game. So I find all these things interesting, fascinating. I do think the Mets can win this ballgame. I do think they do win this ballgame, but I'm going to keep betting these unders until the wheels fall off, it seems. So full game under for me. You guys know our first 5 unders have just been the death of me, so I'm taking full game. We started out at an 8. It was juiced to the under, -120 already, so it's not like it's a big move down, but we do have sharp action on the under, it seems. 28% of the bets, 50% of the money on the under. So I'm going to give my odds page a refresh here one more time. Yeah, we're still juiced to the under -120 now, so I still like it, -120. Under 7.5 for me. I think it's going to be a tight ball game, short leashes, and elimination games just lead to lower scoring games. So, and we've seen overs in both the first two games. That's the only part that's worried me. I've not bet an under in this series so far. This is my first one, but I'll be on the under in this game. And like I said, I lean towards the Mets sidewise, but I just don't have enough confidence to fade the market here. But I would just be a little worried about being on a very like publicly backside, but under for me.
Yeah, I completely get it. I get
At least you had the line move your way. That's probably like the best sign if you're going to be on that.
I would like to hear the stat of teams who were up 1-0 and lost game 2 that were ahead. That had a chance to finish that game off and finish off the series. I think that's the difference maker here. From a momentum standpoint, the Brewers are coming to the stadium today trying to stay in their shoes because of that monstrous comeback and knowing that they're one game away from the division series. I think that momentum is tough to beat. And when we're talking about a bullpen that's as elite as the Brewers in a game where we don't think the starters go more than 4 innings. Now, Earl says that Peterson could come in, and I imagine that will be the case. I think that their bullpen is just not quite strong enough, and Peterson would really help.
We'll see how this part about having the Mets bullpen right now is that Edwin Diaz has not thrown since the last game of the series, or whatever, last day of the season.
Look, if the Mets have a lead going into the 9th inning, Brewers are screwed.
Yeah, you'll feel good about it, but yeah.
But it's not. Diaz is a monster. Look, he's an absolute monster. But can they get to him?
Yeah, they have Reed Garrett, who threw 12. Adam Ottavino doesn't make you feel confident. Phil Maton has gave up runs yesterday and has thrown every fucking day except for Tuesday, so no wonder he gave up some runs. But yeah, it's gotta be like 4 innings of Quintana, 3 innings of Peterson, an inning of Reed Garrett, and then maybe an inning plus of Mr. Edwin Diaz.
And Benjamin Mills will open with we'll probably open with CFL, but we'll talk NHL. Maybe we'll open with NHL because the game's at 1 p.m. Eastern, but we'll have time. We'll cap that game tomorrow morning right off the hop, and Benjamin will be in before the game starts. But we have 2 hours, so I promise you we will be hitting the opener over in Europe. Well, we're locked and loaded. I'm on the Brewers -1 at +121. Jose's on the full game under 7.5. Truth Teller on the first 5 under. Ron Crawford on the New York Mets here. And where did I put the Stacks? Stacks is a Churrillo over 1.5 bases at +133. I mean, those were some monstrous hits last night. And Churrillo, now the youngest player with 2 home runs in the postseason in Major League history. I mean, the kid's just an absolute monster. And Stacks going back to the Churrillo. Well, shout out to our guy, Justin McKelvey.
Stacks, 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 stacks.
Jackson Churro, you know where he's from.
He's a monster. You can be very proud. Very, very proud. Okay, it is time to roll into Thursday night football.
And to bring on talk futures real quick.
Oh yes, of course. Sorry, yes. Let's talk futures. My bad.
We don't have to take too long on these, obviously. But
let's jump in. By the way, the Brewers are now -135 at Bet365.
I didn't look at the response I got, but I did ask Girl. I don't know if you saw this, Jimmy, but the Guardians opened -115, I believe, against the Tigers. And that was like a big red flashing light to me, saying the Tigers were very live to win that series and all that. I have not checked it since the show started, but I had it at -125 Guardians now. which was a little closer to what I expected. I honestly expected like minus 140 Guardians.
It's minus 130 at 365.
Yeah, I thought that opening price was just shocking then, I guess, if it's moved up. Minus 115 was just like way too cheap and seemed way too fishy for the Guardians here. And I will say, and this isn't like a me thing, or this is a widely held belief, game one against all these teams that have been sitting around, you bet the team that's been playing.
Oh, yeah.
Just bet the Padres game one against and we'll talk about all these games, obviously, in more depth.
Plus 125 for the Padres to win the series.
Yeah, that's not bad. I've been down on the Dodgers all year. So, everyone knows that I think the Dodgers lose either this series.
Have you not been extremely impressed how they handled all the injuries?
Yeah. Yeah, but this is nut crunching time now. This is it. And admittedly, Jack Flaherty in game one, I'm not sold. I'm still not sold on Jack Flaherty. I was his longest defender, and I watched the Orioles just toss him to the side. And he's been great. Even the Tigers, who I think are going to go to the ALCS, are been tossed to the side, tossed him to the side. So I have my doubts about Jack Flaherty, and I honestly think Dylan Cease is better. So I like them in game one. So yeah, if I think they're going to win game one, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they won the series here.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, look, I do not think that plus 125 is enough, right? And if you think that, then we take the Padres to win game one and the series at plus 220. I don't even know if that's enough. Okay, lots of food for thought here. We're going to break down the Saturday games tomorrow. We have a monster show tomorrow. Birthday show for me as well. Monster show.
I didn't know we were telling people.
Yeah, the birthday show tomorrow, and then I head right off with my family in tow to the Pickering Casino for the weekend. This is thankful. Very, very thankful.
Very thankful. Well, that's lovely.
JPZ says he's accumulated a lot of stakes off of Jose's Dodgers hate. Okay, it's time to get into Thursday night football. Jose, are you moving on the Thursday nighter?
Am I moving on Thursday, you said? Sorry, I'm having audio issues in here because my headphones are being all screwy. So give me 1 second so I can hear you again.
It's okay because we're going to break down the Thursday night football game. I was wondering if you wanted to be involved in the breakdown.
Oh, no, I've got nothing. We'll talk semi about it in Capper's contest show. Don't forget to join us for that. We had a good week in the Cappers contest. Our collective picks was a good week.
Very important.
That was very important. 4-1 for the boy. Watch out, everyone. I'm coming for the money again, God damn it. I'm not fucking it up this year.
Kongs, thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. All right. It is time to get into NFL and college football. The rest of the show dedicated to our next guest. And you would sit here and say, well, there's only 4 games on the card. Bobano and I could easily go for 5 or 6 hours if we wanted to include, the NHL tomorrow and CFL. But having him for NFL and his best bets. We're also Thursday night college football, and then his best bets for the weekend is we're very, very thankful. So please welcome from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada's black and yellow steel town, our friend, Mr. Ian Cameron, to the show. Bobano, how are you?
Good to be with you on a Thursday. Looking forward to it.
Let's roll. Jonathan Yim says, why Pickering? Is it nice? No, it's not nice. I've never been to the casino. It's a new casino. It's not nice. But I have Sunday morning NFL Pub Hub. It's so annoying driving back from Niagara Falls. I just have a real short ride here. And it's a new casino, new joint. And also, I'm not going to be done the Friday show till like 4 o'clock. I do not want to drive through. It'll take 4 hours to get to Niagara Falls. So more of just a comfort type situation. But Nuke is saying it's good. I'm looking forward to see the casino. Of course, I want to see every casino on this planet. All right, my man, let's get to work. So DJ 100 grand is giving us the under 43.5. Truth Teller is giving us Bucky Irving over 44.5 rush yards with the Bucks team total over 20.5. And I want the Bucks. Birdie's on the Bucks money line at plus 107 and Bucky Irving anytime touchdown. But something has been keeping me off of it, Bobano. And honestly, when it comes down to what we do here, is that Yes, we have the Buccaneers sitting at a decent price. It's a +1.5, but +101. Better to read the money line. Look on the money line; it's now a +113. So we have gone. This had a huge move towards the Bucs, right? We went from the initial move was towards the Falcons. It's got up to +130. Then this went all the way down to +106. So it was at +106 yesterday, last night. So now today we've had to move back to the Falcons, and now it's a +113. And my thought process, Bobano, is here I get the opportunity to live bet this game with all of my colleagues, all watching the game together. You telling me I'm not going to get a better line at some point than that? It's just that simple. If the only thing that's important here is making money, who cares obviously I care what my record is, but it's not as important as making money. So why don't I save all my bullets to fire at the Buccaneers when I'm sure if we're all watching the game together, I'll get a better line. It just comes down to that. I don't even feel like I don't feel like there's an advantage. Now, what if Tampa Bay takes complete control of this football game? Well, then I don't get the opportunity to live bet it, sure. But also, it feels a little too easy with the Falcons coming off a disastrous game that they still pulled out a victory in, which is a sign of a good football team. Now, I know they didn't score an offensive touchdown. You can call them out for their offensive abilities. And the Buccaneers coming off a spectacular game against the beaten, undermanned Eagle squad. Look, we've seen the Buccaneers lay an egg. Now, that egg was laid against the Broncos in a non-divisional football game. I just feel like I'm going to get a better advantage live. Now, I've already broken down this entire game with Birdie on our homepage. You can find my breakdown there. I'm not going to sit here and repeat ourselves. We have a great capper on our show right now to hear fresh angles. Dougie Wise thinks it's going over. Big Fat Paulie on the over 43.5. Kongs Klips says, I think this game gets over 50. Bo Jackson said Todd Bowles is 0-2 on Thursday. Yes, there's some coaching discomfort. Do you feel like Raheem Morris is at a higher level at this point? I mean, I couldn't say that. So let's hear what our friend Bobano has to say. A quick look at the cash flow before we hand it over on the cash situation. We have 72% of the tickets and 82% of the cash on the Buccaneers on the spread. On the money line, it's very different. Just 25% of the tickets, but 61% of the cash on the money line. And on the total, just 21% of the tickets and 40% of the cash on the under. 21 and 40 on the under. And this total, it's sitting at 43.5 right now, and it opened up at 43. It also, the 43.5, it looked like it was going to go to 44 around midnight. It looks like it's coming back. Bobano, take it away, our Thursday nighter, Buccaneers Falcons.
Yeah, to me, I got away with one with Atlanta. That was a wrong side winner. And sometimes you get those. You have a right side that loses. You have a wrong side that wins. Atlanta was a wrong side. They should have lost that game last week against New Orleans. I'll take it. But you look at everything that had to go right for them. They took advantage of a muff punt by New Orleans early in the game, recovered by Atlanta in the end zone for a touchdown. Really, the offense sputtered after that. They settled for field goals. They bogged down consistently in the red zone, and their defense struggled against the Saints. I mean, Derek Carr and Kamara and the Saints were really moving the football pretty well against Atlanta. And then they look like they've got it. They couldn't get the stop with the game on the line, Atlanta. But unfortunately for the Saints, they left too much time. And then you think, wow, Atlanta finally got the job done, got their offense going, and Kirk Cousins did it again. Well, a lot of that was the PI penalty on that final drive. And obviously that put Atlanta in position. And then even when after the PI penalty, they couldn't get any closer and were bailed out by just a phenomenal kick, almost 60 yards from Young Hui Koo last week for the win. Just the credit to finding a way, but boy, oh boy, they're going to have to play a lot better this week against Tampa Bay. I think this Bucs team continues to be undervalued. I mean, my goodness, they're 3-1 against the spread. Their only loss was a no-show. I don't just say that they played bad. I think that was just a flat-out no-show. That was a big win against Detroit the week before that on the road, team that knocked them out in the playoffs. And they were flat as a pancake against Denver. But then, of course, We saw them against Philly, another team they played in the playoffs last year. And now Philly had a lot of injuries, so let's not give Tampa all the credit for that win, but they were dominant. They didn't screw around. They got the lead early and then just coasted to victory after that. I look at this too now, a division game early in the week. I know road teams on Thursday night, not always a great bet, but here's a matchup concern that is very, very worrisome for me if I'm on Atlanta tonight. The blitz-heavy Buck defense, okay? They blitz very frequently. That's a problem with an Atlanta offensive line that, as you know, is banged up. This is a banged-up offensive line right now for the Atlanta Falcons. Protecting a quarterback coming off an Achilles injury with limited to no mobility right now. He is extremely hobbled in the pocket right now. And if the Bucs are going to blitz to the frequency and the volume that they often do on a weekly basis, I worry about that offensive line of the Atlanta Falcons holding up and maybe Kirk Cousins being treated like a human whoopee cushion here tonight in this football game. I think that could be a real issue for me with Atlanta here. I do like the Bucs. I'm going to do something a little different, though. I feel this could be a field goal game either way here for this one. It wouldn't shock me. Atlanta seems to be the kind of team that's going to play a lot of close games, so I like paying up to get the +3. And I can do that at a reasonable price at Pinnacle. We can get +3, -135 with Tampa Bay. That's not bad. -135 to get the +3 when the current number's, +1.5, +2. I'll do that, especially in a game that I think could be field goal game either way. So I like Tampa Bay here, +3, -135. I actually think they might be the better team, quite honestly as well, this Bucs team. Now, as far as the total is concerned, no official play. I do feel like with a lot of the people in the chat that this is a low total, but I think I'm done betting Thursday night overs for the foreseeable future. I think I'm done. I mean, look at the track record already this year. Chiefs Ravens under the first game. Bills Dolphins under. Jets Patriots under. Last week Cowboys Giants, and I was on the over last week of that game, under. These Thursday night games just don't go over the total. They don't. Or very rarely do they do, especially early in the season Thursday night games. I find those ones are even stronger underplays when it's September Thursday night football. So you're right. I think matchup-wise, could we see points? Yes. Does this total look a little bit low? Yes. But these Thursday night games, even when I've seen things that line up and say, hey, this matchup should be good for the offenses. Oh, this total's too low. Let's go over on a Thursday night. And it doesn't. It stays under. So I lean over, but I ain't getting there.
Yeah, I can understand the concern with overs on Thursday night, but this does feel like one that's capable of getting there.
As I said that last week too, and
yeah,
we know
I get it. Caleb McGarry out, of course. Drew Dahlman on IR, but McGarry's not on IR, but he will not be available for the Falcons. And then for the Bucs here, we have Antoine Winfield out. Unfortunately, we were hoping that he would play. Palmer, of course, is not coming back from the concussion protocol, which hurts. Kalijah Cansey is out as well. We thought he might be back. Luke Gadecki, offensive tackle, concussion out. We think Vita Vea plays. Full in practice, and that's a huge piece of the puzzle. Dougie Y says this is a sell high spot on the Bucs, excuse me. And Darryl Lyles on Evans over 59.5 receiving yards. Let me copy and paste that. So I will drop all of these on our Thursday night live stream as well. All of your guys' action here, I will go over it. That'll be the first thing that I do. And we have action from Joseph Thompson. He's on the over 43.5, and he's on Coup kicking points over 7.5 and Coup over 1.5 field goals on our last live stream with the Titans Dolphins. He cashed over 4 field goals and over 5 field goals for huge scores. He's been crushing these field goal spots. LJ from H-Town, Tampa Bay first half plus a half, says Bucks 9-2 against the spread first half on the road since last season, and he's on Chase McLaughlin over 1.5 field goals. The Skunt Blaster play of the day is Bucks money line. Number 2 is Chris Godwin at plus 170. BJ's best bets on the Falcons money line: Justin McKelvey on Cousins under 1.5 touchdowns, DC Capper on the over 43.5, and the Sweaty Butchers Surf and Turf is Cade Otton 3 or more receptions, Algier over 32.5 rush yards at plus 284.
I like those. Those are good props. Yeah, I think Otten props are good. I think Algier props are good. I like Bijan as a receiver out of the backfield for Atlanta because they're going to have to get rid of the ball quickly. I mean, Cousins is going to be feeling some heat tonight with the Bucs' propensity to blitz and with the O-line concerns of Atlanta. I think they actually might be a little healthier on the O-line this week, Atlanta, but to me, that's still not a great offensive line that they have.
Let's roll here. Top
Kirk
set.
Cousins in prime time is true. That's a good someone to mention it. Billy Friedrich, Cousins in prime time, Fade City. We already saw it once. Now, it wasn't his fault against Kansas City on the Sunday night a couple weeks ago, but you're right. His primetime record's abysmal. It's crazy how bad it is. Yeah.
And Daryl Lyles. So I'm just copy and pasting Jared.
He didn't have to win against Philly, though. We have to remember that was a primetime.
It was. Oh, yeah. No. That was a huge drive. A huge drive to close out the spotlight situation here. And my dude also on Falcons money line. Well, I tell you what, after talking all of this over, I'm very comfortable with my plan and going to stick to it. There will be a pre-game bet here. I'm going to look for a chance to get live on the Bucs, and it won't take much, especially early, to get over that 3.5 number. It won't take much. So that's what I'm going to focus on. Nasty Nate says Buccaneers a smash. And Nutflush Allen says, just think of me when he throws an interception. So let's copy and paste all of this action here. And we are good to go. So that was our NFL breakdown here for the Thursday Nighter. Join us live tonight. It's going to be extremely enjoyable. Let's move on to college football. And thank you guys for sharing your action so that I can re-share it here on our live stream as well. It gives us lots to talk about. So thank you for everybody in the chat. Kent Davies says, I will live bet with you, Jimmy. Yeah, it's the plan. It's the plan. Skunk Blaster says Atlanta United lost last night. Braves lost last night. And the Falcons lose tonight. Trifecta. Oh, and Wager Detective, it's a thing on YouTube that they won't put. You can't put links to anything. So if you put if you're not a moderator, they won't let you do that. But it's not something we feel. We want, your Twitter handle to be respected and people to care about it and follow you. We want all of our cappers that. So that's not something on us. So just to show that, I will put your Twitter handle in the chat here. That is not us keeping that from being seen. So here's our friend, the Wager Detective's Twitter handle. If you can support them, it would mean a ton. Support our guys. And so there is Wager Detective's Twitter handle there. Tom Leach says, have a quarter unit on the Bucs money line just in case you miss it live. Thank me later. No, I'm not going to, Tom Leach. Another part of that is that, I know this is, to care, but having a quarter unit for me, my units are 300 in NFL. I have $75 pregame. It doesn't mean anything to me. So I prefer, if I'm not going to bet it pregame, then I can move my live unit size to at least $150 or more and start hammering it when I find it more appealing. That's just my own stuff. That's just my own action. So there we go. Okay, let's roll on to college football. Everybody's different. For me, I just need consequences. I need there to be something on the line, and $75 bet just doesn't move the needle for me. It doesn't get my heart pumping. It just, it's just me. I'm, turning 45. Okay, let's roll. We move on to college football. We have best bets here from Bobano, but we start with Thursday night action. So these are not best bet spots from Bobano, but hopefully, or maybe not hopefully, maybe we have moves.
One of them is, though. Yeah, one of them.
There is our guy, Dabra Kadabra, in the house. Great to see you, Dabby Cab. Okay, let's get to work. We start 7 p.m. Eastern tonight with a real fun series over the years. The Troy Trojans have been beating up the Texas State Bobcats for a long time. They've won 12 straight times in this series. But again, and we've already heard Bobano talk about it on our show, that was the John Summerall coached Trojans. This is not them. And this is a Texas State Bobcat team that is very angry with how Sam Houston came back against them. Texas State was up 22-0, and Sam Houston won 40-39. And that was also at Energy Stadium. That was an important game and an ugly, ugly breakdown here. So let's roll. we're going to get into the line history here for this one and get into the cash flow, set up some X's and O's, and then we'll have our expert Bobano let us know what his plan of attack is. I am moving on the second game. And I did have some interest in this one. Some. We have the Bobcats, who have lost 12 straight in this rivalry, at minus 13.5. They opened up at minus 14.5. This got down to 13. This was 13 last night. There's been a half-point move towards Texas State this morning, but overall there's been a 1-point move towards the Trojans. When we get to the total in this one, we have a 57. It's minus 109 to the under. This opened up at 58. 57 is the low water mark, and it's minus 109 to the under. So this is as low as it's got over at Pinnacle. Let's get into the cash flow here for this one. We have 43% of the tickets and 41% of the cash on Texas State. You know, that surprises me. I wonder if there's a vividness thing going on, you know, for gamblers to have over half the action at this point on Texas State when there's so many question marks surrounding Troy's quarterback situation, which we'll get into. 26% of tickets and 25% of cash on the under 57. This is an interesting spot here as well. You know, I do have some interest in the under. If this is a rivalry game and we can expect Troy, who's been such a huge disappointment this year, to be playing their absolute best. Let's say that was a look ahead spot last week, if you want, you know. If that's the case, then maybe we know Troy's not going to score much. So maybe the under is appealing at that number. Robert Franklin on Texas State minus 6.5 first half. So that's now kind of on my radar. But let's hammer this one out. This is the Sun Belt season debut for Texas State Bobcats. 2-2 on the year, and Troy Trojans have already played one game in the Sun Belt. We're at Veterans Memorial Stadium in Troy, Alabama. So Troy comes in off back-to-back home games. They beat FCS Florida A&M Rattlers 34-12 as 21.5-point favorites. They followed that up with a 13-9 loss at home to UL Monroe as 6.5-point favorites. And Bobano gave us UL Monroe last week, and I ran with him on it, and it was a great casher. But a lot went into the reason why we cashed and outright won. So a Goose Crowder, who came in as their number one, he suffered an upper body injury during a sack late in the first quarter. So in came Tucker Kilcrease, and he did very little. Kilcrease was 6 of 11 for 57 yards, and then he got hurt as well. So now both of these guys are game time decisions. Now, Kilcrease came into the year as the third stringer behind Goose Crowder and Matthew Caldwell. So they do have Matthew Caldwell, who is available. Bobano will have a better knowledge as to who he expects to be under center here, but Caldwell is available, and Goose Crowder and Kilcrease are game time decisions. And they have weapons. I mean, Damian Taylor at running back, wide receiver, Devontae Ross, 529 yards receiving. Like, they have weapons. Texas State opens up their Sun Belt schedule with their first road game of the season. They lost 31-28 at home to Arizona State as 2.5-point favorites before going on their bye week. They returned last week after the bye, lose 40-39 in Energy Stadium to Sam Houston as 10.5-point favorites. I mean, it was absolutely ugly. But senior quarterback Jordan McLeod has been everything that people expected him to be this year. You know, he began his career at USF for a couple of years, had the injury, you know, when he was at Arizona. Then 2022, he didn't play James Madison last year. And this year he's thrown for 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 1,141 yards. Take it away, Bobano. Our first game tonight, Texas State Bobcats, Troy Trojans.
If Troy is going to resemble the team that a lot of people thought they could be this year, and I think they're still really good, but that's an alarming loss against Sam Houston State last week, and the defense has had problems against Arizona State and Sam Houston State in these back-to-back losses. Now, I was on Sam Houston State last week, so I was happy seeing that because I thought they could compete in that game. But when you're giving up almost 300 rushing yards, that's an issue. And their defense last year was a problem. This year, I thought it would be better. Not as sure about that right now. But their offense is phenomenal. There's no doubt. I mean, Jordan McLeod, bringing him over. G.J. Kinney, the head coach, was a quarterback at Tulsa. They have no problem moving the football. Their offense is excellent. It's phenomenal, but their defense is still a bit of a concern for me. The question right now, is can Troy take advantage of that run defense? Well, they're not running the football great. 143 rushing yards per game, 89th in the country right now with this run defense. I look at this situation with Troy as just like what you said, and it's why we were on UL Monroe last week. This is a down program, potentially way down. Like there's really nothing you can say here about Troy's schedule so far and the performance, and the defense hasn't been the same. They have bad performances. They get blown out by Memphis. They lose as favorites to a down Nevada team. They don't cover against Florida A&M. They did win, but didn't cover. Last week, Goose Crowder knocked out of the game, and then there was zero offense for Troy from that point forward. And there's no guarantee Goose Crowder plays tonight. We could be looking at Caldwell. We could be looking at Kilcrease again at the quarterback spot. This is going to be game time decision. Unfortunately, we don't have. We just don't have official information right now on it. For Texas State, that was a non-conference loss last week. It's very important to note that, because Sam Houston's a Conference USA team. Texas State's from the Sun Belt. This is their first Sun Belt game, their first conference game this season. So all the preseason goals, well, the playoffs are out of the question now, obviously, but all the other preseason goals for Texas State are right there. Okay, you can still win the conference. This is your first conference game. There's no woe is me. That's a terrible loss last, especially because they had a big lead. They were up 22-0, and they couldn't hold it. But now you've got your first Sun Belt game. This is a team that's beaten on you for years. You're finally better than them. You're off a loss that stings. If there's focus and there's intensity and they are ready from the opening kickoff, and that offense performs at a high level against a Troy defense that doesn't have John Sumrall anymore, they're not as good, Texas State could pile up the points here. And if they pile up the points with the Troy issues on offense that we've seen the last few weeks, especially last week in the loss to Monroe and with the quarterback injuries, how's Troy going to manufacture the points to come from behind and get through the back door? I don't see it. We laid a big number on the road last week with a road favorite, and we cashed with Army. We're doing it again here. I'm on Texas State here. We're laying the big number. Texas State minus 13. Looks like the best number currently, and we can get that at Pinnacle at minus 120.
Now, Tom Leach sort of daring me to move on the under, but I noticed that you're not on the over, and
because I just don't know if Troy's going to score much. I really don't.
But don't you think they'll have heightened defensive intensity in this battle?
Who? Texas State should.
No, Troy.
Troy better.
They know they've beaten this team.
They better, because if they fall behind, that's it. Game over. If this gets to 21-0, like let's say Texas State starts on offense like they did last week, Troy's not coming back like Sam Houston did. No way. That's not happening with their offense and their quarterback situation. So they better have heightened defense, or else they're going to get whipped tonight.
Texas State minus 13 and minus 114 currently at a bookmaker. So let's give you that. Thank you for finding that for us, Billy. So then if we're sitting here at the sports book, I pull out $1,000 and I say, go bet the total here. We'll split the winnings. Go to the window right now, bet the total. What do you do?
I would probably bet Troy team total under.
No, just a flat.
I know, the full game. Yeah, the full game. Problem is Texas State, man. And what if that Troy defense struggles, and what if they wear down, even with the offense not doing much? Because I look at this as a situation where Texas State plays really fast. I don't like betting Texas State under. That's why I don't like the under. But I can't take an over with Troy's offense right now. So it's a clear pass. I'd lean, because I'm on Texas State, I have to lean over, but I don't love it.
Talk about the new head coach Parker for me. But help me make this decision. Is this somebody, now he's being vilified, obviously. He's getting destroyed in the press. Is this a spot here in a spotlight game against a team they've beaten 12 straight times that they're, 2-score dogs against, where you can trust the situation for him? Like, do you trust that he can put together a game plan? Do you have faith in him as a young head coach?
Well, he was an OC at Notre Dame, and was Notre Dame's offense that great last year with Hartman? No. I thought they underachieved. And he got the Troy job, as head coach. Brad Powers, a great guy, a great college football handicapper. He's a Notre Dame fan. He was shocked as a Notre Dame fan watching that offense last year that they hired Gerard Parker as their head coach here at Troy. Said that didn't look like a hire of a guy that was ready for a promotion. That offense was nothing to write home about for Notre Dame, and Gerard Parker was the OC of that offense. So if you're telling me, am I shocked that Troy's having offensive issues with this guy now as the head coach here? No, I'm not.
Okay, I don't know if I can get to the window, but I do want the under, and the thought process.
See, I worry this could be like 41-17 and just slips over the total, something like that. Yeah,
and that's what Tom Leach, is feeling. So, okay, well, I'm going to need.
Like, let's say if Texas State were laying 17 or more, that would be my cutoff. I wouldn't lay that many. But we're asking them to win by 2 touchdowns. I think they can do it against this kind of a team. Awful loss too. They bet. I expect Texas State to be, chomping at the bit here. First conference game. There's no reason to mope and woe is me over the loss last week. Was it a tough loss, brutal loss? Yes, but that was a non-conference loss. Now you're in conference play. Time to show up if you're Texas State. If they do, they'll win going away.
And Nupflush says, how do they not get into the 30s? Okay. Shout out to Derek Parra in the house. Great to see you, Derek. So Texas State minus 13 and minus 114. Let me ask you one final question here.
Yep.
Is the public going to hammer this over 2 hours before the game?
That's a good question. I don't know. It depends on how much they know. I'm sure the more the public know Texas State because they're the better team. They've been talked about a lot as one of the better group of 5 teams. So I'll tell you this. If you're going to bet the under, it's never a bad thing to wait, especially in these primetime games, these standalone games.
Okay, well, I think that I expect that I'm going to move on this under, but I'm going to keep a very close eye on this number. And if it moves down to 56.5, this is a mistake that I've made in the past, and I got to stop making it. If it moves to 56.5 here at 3:00 or 3:30, then I just hammer it right away when I still know the overbettors are going to come around. They always do.
Yeah.
So if it moves to 56.5, I'm not going to panic and bet it. I'm still going to wait. Obviously, I need it locked in because our live stream starts at 7:20 p.m. Okay. Let's roll on to the game I have moved on. 9 p.m. Eastern. Sam Houston Bearcats 4-1, 1-0 in conference. At the UTEP Miners 0-4, 0-1 in conference. We're in the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas. Let's get into the line history here for this one. This total's at 50 at Pinnacle, minus 107 to the under. That's exactly where it opened. Pinnacle has not moved it off this number 50, and it has the highest it got to is minus 116, the lowest minus 106, which is where it's at. So very little movement here on the total. On the point spread here, we have UTEP plus 10.5, minus 108. It just moved back to 10.5 at 10 this morning. I saw, moving in that direction. Unfortunately, I got in on the 10. I could have paid slightly for the 10.5. I forget the number offhand. It wasn't bad at Pinnacle, but I didn't move on it. Nobody knows what's happening, man. So I'm on the UTEP Miners here. 0-4. They've looked terrible. Look, I get it. And I'll explain why, and Bobano can tell me why I should be very concerned or feel okay about it. 35% of the tickets are on UTEP and 24% of the cash. It's now right where it opened at that 10.5. On the total, 62% of tickets and 67% cash on the over. So let's talk about this spot. Sam Houston comes in off their 3rd straight win. It was that wild 40-39 comeback that we were talking about at Energy Stadium over Texas State. It was impressive. Look, they showed a ton of heart and a ton of character, and it was a huge victory. UTEP comes in off their bye week. They were last seen in a 27-17 loss at Colorado State as 8.5-point dogs. They were down 24-3. They came back in the 4th quarter to make a game of it. Cade McConnell came in. Junior quarterback Cade McConnell came in. They replaced Skylar Locklear, and Skylar Locklear struggled mightily, threw a pick and then was taken out. And McConnell came in and played really well, 19 of 29 for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he's been named the starter for this week. And that is right in my wheelhouse. He's named the starter, so there's hope for an 0-4 football team. Then they have the bye week, so he can have all the number 1 reps. And UTEP's also had a very tough schedule. They've only played 1 home game this year. And you know how many people came out to the Sun Bowl for that loss to Southern Utah? 41,609. The fans are going to back Cade. The team is going to back Cade. I think this is a great spot for the Miners, coming off this huge win for the Bearcats. And look, it's just the situation I like. It doesn't mean that I am extremely confident. Maybe I'll have a little more confidence or a little less confidence after we hear from Bobano. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Bearcats, Miners in El Paso, Texas.
I mean, it is an absolutely home run spot for the UTEP Miners. There's no denying that. I mean, it's bye week. It's a quarterback change to Cade McConnell, who can't be any worse, obviously, than. And in fact, we saw it in the Colorado State game right before the bye week that they got a pop. They got a spark on the offensive side of the football when they went to McConnell in that game before the bye week. I know they still lost 27-17, but you know, it was in the second half where McConnell did his damage. All the touchdowns came from McConnell, you know, after halftime. And you mentioned the numbers were solid, 220 through the air. They probably would have scored more than that if not for getting stopped on 4th down a time or two. And even in those drives, they were moving into Colorado State territory. So it's a brutal spot for Sam Houston on the flip side. As great a spot as it is for UTEP. I mean, you're coming off this massive comeback win, and I love this team, and I've got them over their win total, and I've been betting them a lot this year. But the one thing I've not been seeing with Sam Houston State is a spot yet where they're not only being asked to win, but they're being asked to win by a big margin, upwards of 2 touchdowns on the road. You know, the only time they've been a favorite this year, now they did cover in the previous time they've been a favorite this year, a double-digit favorite, and that was against New Mexico State at home, 31-11. But, and New Mexico State's horrible. Now, UTEP's pretty bad too. But Scotty Walden is the coach who brought in a lot of his players from Austin Peay, which is where he was before. There's a lot of familiarity here. And maybe they're just not ready for the jump to D1 football yet, or FBS football. Maybe that's part of it, the Austin Peay players, because this was a former Austin Peay coach there, head coach for 4 years there at Austin Peay, Scotty Walden. He brought in a lot of transfers from Austin Peay to UTEP this year. And for some reason, look, familiarity, look at what it's done with Indiana and Signetti. He brought in a lot of James Madison players with him to Indiana, and they've been great. For some reason, Walden brings the Austin Peay players with him to UTEP, many of them, and they haven't hit that same stride this year. But part of that is, as you mentioned, the schedule has been pretty tough. You know, you've played Liberty, you've played Nebraska so far in 2 of your games. Now, that doesn't excuse you from losing to Southern Utah. Okay, that's bad. You know, they were almost a touchdown favorite in that game. And they ended up losing at 27-24, which is a bad loss. Colorado State hasn't been great, and even not covering in that game's a bad loss. But when you look at that game, they did nothing on offense, and maybe if Cade McConnell in the first half, and if Cade McConnell starts that game instead of just playing the second half, they probably would have scored more points, and they probably would have covered that big number. But they're off a bye week. There's an offensive-minded coach as well, because he's a guy that was an offensive coordinator way back when, before he got the head coaching job at Austin Peay. And the change to McConnell, we saw it in the second half. You know, Sam Houston's defense is solid, but, you know, Hawaii kind of up and down. New Mexico State, you can't make too much of a big deal of how they played on defense in that game. UCF, they gave up 45. And, of course, Texas State, they won last week, but they still gave up 39 points in that game. I like Hunter Watson, the quarterback, too, for Sam Houston State. And they're a run-heavy offense this year. I mean, they can throw it, but they really want to be successful running it. I got to admit, the run defense of UTEP's the huge concern here. Huge concern if they're going to cover this number. 128 in the country, run defense, 223 yards per game allowed. That's a huge concern because of how solid we have seen this Sam Houston State run game look. They use quarterback runs. They use RPO. Watson can run with the football. He's done a nice job with that. And like I said, with Sam Houston State, they're averaging over 216 rushing yards per game. So it's a good run offense, a rushing attack of Sam Houston, and a really bad run defense of UTEP. But I'm going to have some faith in Scotty Walden to shore that up a little bit. You have a bye week. They're going to come in here and run the football on you. Shore up the run defense. You've had time to prepare. Try to fix that. I still think they're going to give up points, but I think UTEP's going to end up scoring as well because I think the quarterback change is going to help them here. Now, they don't play fast, and really neither does Sam Houston State, but I think we're going to see efficiency here. So I'm going to go side and total. Even with my concerns about that horrible run defense, there's no denying what a really good spot on paper this is for UTEP and what a really tricky spot this is for Sam Houston, coming off the comeback win they had and now going on the road on a short week, albeit it's in the state, and facing a UTEP team rested and ready to go. That is going to be a challenge. And I know UTEP struggled, but you mentioned a couple of those opponents were pretty good opponents, pretty tough opponents for UTEP, Liberty and Nebraska. So I will join in on UTEP here, plus 11, minus 114 at Pinnacle. And I'm also going to be on the over in this game. This is the over I like here tonight of the two games. I think Sam Houston and the run, again, their run game has gashed everybody, a lot of teams, and this is still a weak run defense of UTEP. But I think the quarterback change, we saw it give this UTEP offense some life, some pop 2 weeks ago against Colorado State when they went to Cade McConnell. This is a guy that started a bunch of games when Dana Dimmel was still the coach last year for UTEP. And I think he can give them a little bit of a spark here as well on that side of the football. So let's go over 50, minus 110 at Pinnacle with the total.
You got it. Over 50 at minus 110, as well as the Miners at plus 11 at minus 114. Unfortunately, I got the 10. Rod's Wag says, bet on underdogs of 10.5 to 21 after failing to cover the spread in 2 out of the last 3 games. Terrible team, winning 25% or less of their games on the season since 2020. 64 and 26 against the spread. Shout out to our guy Chip Pilar in the house. I love it. Okay, so we're both on UTEP. Bobano got a better line than me. Bobano plus 11, minus 114, and the over 50. Bobano's on Texas State minus 13, and I am very interested in the under in that one. Great to see all these great cappers rocking with us. It is time to move on to best bets here from our guy Bobano. We got a bunch of great games to attack, and we have one tomorrow evening. Syracuse Orange 3-1, playing their first road game of the season at the UNLV Rebels 4-0, 2-0 at home. We're at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. And Bobano gave us the UNLV Rebels minus 2.5 last week, and I thought it all made sense and joined them. And it was a 59-14 smash and grab with Haj Malik Williams, the new Haj Malik Williams era over in UNLV. And now they are ranked for the first time in school history. Let's get into the line history. This one is Friday night action here for our guy Bobano. This total is at 58. It opened up at 58, but it got up to 60. This was at 60 on Monday night. So it's come back to 58. So we've had a 1 cent move to the over. That's it on the total. Let's get into the point spread here for this one. Spread wise, we have UNLV minus 6.5 at minus 109. They opened minus 4.5 at minus 108. So 2-point move towards the Rebels. When we get to the cash flow for this one, you have 68% of tickets and 95% of the cash on the over. It's a considerable amount of cash on the over for it to come back 2 points. Now, and not move a considerable amount of money. Then you have, that's the money line. My apologies. Then on the spread, we have just 36% of the tickets and 27% of the cash on UNLV. And the line moving 2 points in their favor. It's wildly interesting. Of course, they come in off that impressive 59-14 win. Haj Malik Williams, 13 of 16 for 182 yards and 3 touchdown passes. I mean, we thought that his weakness was through the air, and he was strong. He also, we know what he can do running the ball, 12 carries for 119 yards and a touchdown. They had 254 rushing yards in the game. Fresno State, 30. The UNLV defense allowing 13.8 points per game, and that includes 2 games against Big 12 schools in Houston and Kansas. 13 sacks through 4 games, 9 interceptions. This defense is the real deal. Syracuse comes in off beating up on FCS Holy Cross 42-14 last week. It's 31.5-point favorites. Syracuse put up 541 yards, held the Crusaders to just 203. And it's Kyle McCord, Ohio State transfer Kyle McCord, 385 yards passing against Holy Cross. He's the first Syracuse quarterback to throw for 300 yards in 4 straight games. He leads the nation in passing yards, 364.8, completions, 28.5. His 1,459 yards passing is the highest total for a Syracuse Orange quarterback through the first 4 games of the season in program history. And they've been good in their road openers. Not great on the road in general, but in their road openers, they've been really good. They've won 3 straight road openers. They've won 5 of their last 6. Here you have an Orange defense allowing 22.5 points per game. You have a Rebel defense allowing 13.8 points per game. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Syracuse, UNLV at Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, this is one where I've got a small stance on the UNLV team total over, but it's not an official play. I think they can run the ball with effectiveness here against Syracuse. Syracuse run defense is probably the bigger issue for them on that side of the ball. I still remember the Ohio Bobcats, the first game Syracuse played this season in the Dome, and Ohio's running the football extremely effectively against them. Tyus went nuts. Anthony Tyus, I think he had over 200 rushing yards in that game. You're going to be like that. You're going to have that, give up that kind of yardage at home to an Ohio running back. Like, how are you going to handle Malik Williams? How are you going to handle this dynamic run game that the UNLV Rebels have? I do get concerned about that. Here's the thing with the UNLV defense. Obviously, it's been much better this year, and Barry Odom's done a hell of a job. We nailed it with UNLV last week against Fresno. We said, you know what, they're gonna be fine. They'll rally the troops. He's a great coach. They're still excited, and sure enough, they played a great game, including on defense. And Malik Williams, to me, there's no downgrade without Matthew Sluka for this offense. They're fine. They're gonna be. In fact, he's going to be able to throw the football, I think, a little bit better than Matthew Sluka. So I like the team total over for UNLV, but I like the full game over even more in this game. And here's why. The one flaw for UNLV defensively is the secondary. I still think you might be able to throw on them. They've been very good against the run, but against the pass, they're only 88th in the country on defense, passing yards allowed per game. You look at the quarterbacks they faced. They faced Jalen Daniels for Kansas, who's not playing anywhere close to what he's played like before. They faced Houston with no quarterback, with no offense. They faced an FCS team. Fresno last week with Mikey Keene was probably one of the better quarterbacks they played. And yes, they held them to 14 points, but they gave up 316 passing yards. Everything Fresno did was through the air. Everything Fresno did moving the football was through the air. And 2 interceptions. They are ball hawks, to G. Martinez's point. They are ball hawks, UNLV. So you do worry about interceptions. But I think a quarterback, the way Kyle McCord is playing right now for Syracuse, I think he's a quarterback that can probably more effectively avoid those interceptions. He's thrown 5 so far this season. Now, 5 in 4 games isn't great, but he's also had 14 touchdowns, and he's had a 64% completion rate. As good as the secondary's been, I think it's a very safe assumption that Kyle McCord's the best quarterback UNLV has faced this season. So I think Syracuse through the air can move the football here. And coming off the big win against Fresno, there could be a slight defensive letdown from the Rebels here in this game as well. So I like over here in this one. That's and I think I'm not betting against UNLV. I'll be damned if I'm betting against UNLV. Not doing it. It may look like a lot of points to be giving Syracuse, but I'm not stepping in front of this UNLV train. I'm not in love with this spot with them this week as I was last week, but it would be UNLV or pass for me from a side perspective. We'll go over 57, minus 128 at Pinnacle.
Over 57 at minus 128 for Bobano. It's one of those totals that you look at and it's just alarmingly high for what they've been averaging. And then you go to the X's and O's and completely explain why it's at that number.
It looks to me like a game UNLV can run whenever they want to on Syracuse, and Syracuse might be able to throw. I don't know about whenever they want to, but I think Syracuse will have success throwing the ball against UNLV. They do have to take care of it, though, because Jalen Catalon is an incredible player in that secondary. Be careful. You've got to make good decisions. You've got to make sure that if you're going to throw to his side of the field, you've got some separation from him, and that's not easy. But I'm telling you what, Kyle McCord's been excellent this year. Really good throwing the ball for Syracuse. I can't see UNLV totally shutting them down, especially when that's their weaker point on defense, playing the pass.
Friday night action for Bobano, over 57 at -128 in Syracuse, UNLV. We move on to Saturday, October 5th action. We start at 12 p.m. Eastern for Pittsburgh Panthers, undefeated. Their first game in the ACC this season at the North Carolina Tar Heels, 3-2, 0-1 in the ACC. We're in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have a total at 64.5, -115 to the under. This opened up at, is this true? I mean, I don't know. This number doesn't make sense that they're saying that it opens. They're saying it opened up at 58. Let me just go over, like there'd be a 7-point move. Let me go over to Bet Online and see what they have done with this total. Yeah, it didn't happen. This opened up at 64. Bet Online got up 64.5, back to 64. So let's just cut that 58 out of the equation here and see what Pinnacle has done with this line. So this line opened up at 65 and it dropped 64.5. So Bet Online at 64, Pinnacle at 65. They met in the middle at 64.5. Let's get into the spread here for this one. Our first best bet on the Saturday card from our guy Bobano, star of the Hitting the Books YouTube college football show, alongside his co-host Connor Mack. That's on their own channel. Please go support that channel. Subscribe to that channel, the Hitting the Books YouTube channel. North Carolina right now is +3. +3. They opened up at +2.5. Now +3. This was a 2.5 too. It moved back to 3 yesterday. Oh no, sorry, this morning. This just moved. Sorry, my apologies. This moved just under an hour ago back to 3. So this was a 2.5. Now it's back to 3. So we've had a very slight move towards the Panthers. Very slight move towards the Panthers, and the total really not moving. When we get to the cash flow, you have 55% of the tickets and 76% of the cash on the spread on the Pittsburgh Panthers. On the money line, it's 88% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on the Panthers. And on the total, it's 60% of the tickets and 95% of cash on the over. Nate Dogg 420 on the Panthers. Dougie Wise on the Panthers. Tom Leach on the Panthers. Billy Friedrich says, I think the Panthers cover. He's looking at the over. And Mally Mal looking at that Pitt team total over. Wager Detective on Pittsburgh as well. It's funny because I don't know what to do with the Panthers. They played one Power 4 school. I don't feel like I'm not sold at all. I don't care that they beat Youngstown State 73-17. They did that before their bye week. I mean, I don't know how you can come in focused. Look, we know the Tar Heels got absolutely annihilated by James Madison. What happened the following week? They came in focused defensively. Now, I know they let a 20-0 lead disappear, but
against their rival that they hate.
It's horrific. I mean, it's just everything that could go wrong is happening to this team. But I knew that they were going to come in accountable, and they did. I have no idea what the Panthers just put up 644 total yards, destroy Youngstown State. Then they go on a vacation. Now, Eli Holstein looks excellent. And this guy could be playing on Sundays in a couple years here, freshman. 3 passing touchdowns in every game, 1,183 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He can also run. These Panthers, 5th in the nation, averaging 48.5 points per game. So, we know Max Johnson's out for the season. Is it going to be Harrell or Chris Well at quarterback? We'll let Bobano talk about this. I don't know. I'm not sold on anything from what we've seen from the Panthers. Let's see them against real competition a little more and then get a better idea of how good they are. Take it away, Bobano. Panthers, Tar Heels, Chapel Hill.
let me put it this way with how strongly I feel about this game. You couldn't pay me to bet North Carolina in this game. They're done. Finished. It's done for them. I think they go in the tank. That's brutal last week. And that's a team you hate. That's the Liberty Bell rivalry game against Duke. And that is a team that you just had that game in your hands and you pissed it away with what bad defense, which we've seen throughout the Mac Brown era. Going back to when Sam Howell had to carry this team on because their defense couldn't stop anything. Back to when Drake May was quarterbacking this team, and they had to carry this team because they couldn't stop anything on defense. And now here we go again, back to the old North Carolina, where, you got them focused and dialed in on defense for one half, but then Duke made their adjustments. Mac Brown didn't. And the next thing you know, they couldn't stop anything from Duke in the second half. It was touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Last 3 drives of that football game by Duke. And a brutal loss on top of getting pounded by James Madison and giving up 70 points. I don't trust them to show up here. And even if they do, they're not good enough right now, especially on the defensive side of the football. Are there questions about Pitt's strength of schedule? Yes, but there are no questions about Holstein and the offense. I think they're very good. I think they're going to be able to absolutely do whatever they want to offensively against North Carolina here in this game. I like the over as well because Pitt plays at one of the fastest tempos as well. Another thing that's impressive about Pitt is as far as yards per play margin, they're 10th in the country, yards per play margin. So they are definitely owning the stats in a lot of their games. Their statistical profile looks terrific, even if it is against a schedule that's maybe a little bit weaker. I think Pitt gets the job done. I wouldn't want to lay more than a field goal, but we're in a pick'em situation here with Pitt. I'm okay with it. Pitt minus 140 at the score bet. We'll go money line with this, and we'll also go over 63 at minus 120 at Pinnacle.
You are locked and loaded, my friend. I need more. I need to see Pitt more. I can't.
I get it. Yeah. To me, I get the reservations for betting Pitt. For me, it's almost impossible, though, to bet North Carolina in this spot.
Totally legit, extremely legitimate, extremely legit. So, okay. We move on. And Jerry Davis says, look, Mac Brown has always been a coach in name only. He's the definition of a CEO coach. If they get right, it is 100% the staff here. And Earl says, feels so trappy. How's this line only 2.5? It's something just now. Maybe it's just because the jury's still out on Pittsburgh.
That could be
and
it.
Maybe it's a smash and grab spot for Pittsburgh, and just because of a weaker competition. I can't move on this game. I'm going to have to sit and watch it. Bobano moving on the Pittsburgh money line and the over 63. We move on. 12 p.m. action. Saturday morning, we have the Minutemen of UMass 1-4 on the season at Northern Illinois Huskies 2-2, 1-1 at home. We're at Husky Stadium, DeKalb. Take a look at the line history here for this one. We have Northern Illinois minus 17.5 at minus 106. They were minus 17.5, minus 105, so just a 1 cent move towards them. On the total here for this one, we are sitting at a 44. 44. This opened up at 46. We've dropped 2 points for 44. It's a big spread for just a 44-point total. Now, Bobano gave us Northern Illinois last week, and I joined him on it, and it was a push, and it shouldn't have been. They lose a 24-17, sort of a bounce back of sorts, after the debacle against Buffalo. But they outgained the Wolfpack 279 to 176. Imagine allowing the NC State Wolfpack to gain just 176 yards and you lose by 7 points. Now, they lost the turnover battle 4-0. And we know what happens when you lose a turnover battle 2-0. You're going to lose. So 4-0, you're way behind.
Well, unless you're Indiana, where they were -4 in turnovers last week against Maryland, and they still won and covered.
No, that's true. That's true. They've been great. UMass comes in off a tough 23-20 overtime loss at Miami of Ohio. It was very impressive. 15.5-point dogs. Miami of Ohio clearly overlooked them, and they played good football. Noli Nose has given us the skull and crossbones here for this one. Billy Friedrich says, NIU going to win the MAC. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Minutemen, Huskies in DeKalb, Illinois.
Yeah, this is going to surprise some people, but I like the UMass side here in this one. Plus 17.5, minus 108 at Pinnacle is the best number. Northern Illinois, last time they were double-digit favorites at home against Buffalo. We saw them lose outright after the Notre Dame win. Tough loss last week. They deserved a better fate. But UMass, twice they've been double-digit underdogs this year. At Toledo, they lost by 15 as 17-point dogs. At Miami, Ohio, they were 15.5-point dogs. They lost by 3 last week. That was one of my plays. I was actually cashed a ticket with UMass last week against Miami. This to me is just a little bit of it's just a little too much. The one thing that concerns me about Northern Illinois is their offense. Okay, Ethan Hampton in. He's turning the ball over a bit too much for my liking. Buffalo, he did that. He did that again last week against NC State. I do like their run game led by Ontario Brown. The defense is pretty solid on this Northern Illinois team as well. They're just a really nice, balanced team, but they are just not efficient enough offensively, and there's just too many turnovers when they have the football right now. And if you're going to cover a number like this, you've got to be efficient. You got to score in the red zone. You got to score touchdowns, and you can't turn the ball over to the frequency that Northern Illinois is, especially the last 2 games. Meanwhile, on the flip side, you've got a UMass team that they're not very good, obviously, but they've been competitive in couple of their games. I'm seeing some improvement, from the defense. I'm seeing some improvement from Fomachan, the quarterback, and this is a guy that's been, Clemson. Actually, was the team that first recruited him, and then he went to Georgia Tech for a bit, and now here he is at UMass. He's still trying to improve. 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It's certainly better than we saw from him last year. Last year, he had 6 touchdowns the entire season for UMass. This year, he's got 5 touchdowns already in 5 games. So I don't know. To me, there's just Northern Illinois is not playing sharp enough, clean enough football to say, yeah, we're going to trust them here to win by more than 17. And UMass, twice as double-digit dogs, 2-0 against the spread this year. So, yeah, UMass for me, plus 17.5.
Plus 17.5 at minus 108. I forgot to go over the ticket count numbers here in this one. UMass, 61% of the tickets, 67% of the cash. The total has 80% of the tickets on the over and 65% of the cash on that over. Just 20 and 35 on the under, and it's moving quickly. Do you agree with Noli Skull and Bones on the under? I see you're not on the over.
Oh, no, I wouldn't be on the over in this game. UMass is still an offense that's a work in progress. Defense, to me, Northern Illinois, again, they're moving the ball, but they're turning it over. They're not finishing drives with touchdowns. There's a stat out there is drives, points per drive, or there's all kinds of metrics that can measure that. I know it's not very good right now for Northern Illinois with that. So, yeah, the under probably has a good chance here.
All right, we roll on. Stay with 12 p.m. action on Saturday with the Army Black Knights, 4-0, 3-0 in the American. Bobano gave us them to win the AAC last week at plus 900. It's now plus 500. So it's a big move towards them. Tulsa Golden Hurricane on the other side, 2-3, 0-1 the American. We're at Chapman Stadium in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. We will start with the total. This total is at 50.5, juice to the over. It hasn't moved from the opening line. It has not moved. It's 4 cents, actually a 5 cents movement, a high minus 110, a low minus 105. So no movement on the total. Let's get into the point spread here for this one. We have Tulsa plus 12.5. Tulsa opened up plus 11, and the first move was towards them. This went down to 10.5, but then there was a huge move yesterday morning, 8:40 a.m., a 2-point move towards Army. Army's gone from minus 11 to minus 12.5. Taking a look at the cash flow for this one, 62% of the tickets, 85% of the cash on Army, and the line's moving towards them. 58% of tickets and 40% of cash on the over. Under has 42 and 60. And again, no movement on that total. Billy Friedrich says this has to be a first half under. Tulsa's defense has been decent versus the run so far. Army comes in off another impressive victory to start the season. 42-14 victory at Temple is 11.5 point favorites. Very, very impressive We had Kongs Klips on them. We had Bobano on them. They outgained Temple 489 to 219. Tulsa comes in off an ugly 52-20 loss at North Texas as 7.5-point dogs. They let North Texas put up 618 total yards. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Army, Tulsa.
Yeah, this is not the same, I think, great matchup for Army that it was last week against Temple, when Temple had a horrible run defense. They were giving up explosives in the run game all season on defense, and we saw it last week. Army did a number. Tulsa is better against the run than Temple, but they're still not a very good overall defense. They're an offense that's still, I think, a work in progress with Kirk Francis, the freshman, who completed less than 50% of his passes last week against a North Texas team that he probably should have done a better job than that. And you can't argue with the point spread results of Army. 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread. For the purposes of time, I'm not going to go into much more detail. I've been riding Army every week. We cashed a winner with Army last week on this show. We're coming back to the well until this team doesn't get it done for me. They're that good. They're that well coached. It's still tricky to prepare for the triple option when you don't have a bye week, when you don't have that extra time to prepare. And obviously that is going to be the case here for Tulsa coming off that game against North Texas. So yeah, I'm just betting them every week till they don't cover for me. So Army minus 11.5, minus 115 at FanDuel.
Army minus 11.5 at minus 115. I get it. I can completely understand going back to the well that has been so good to you. Army minus 11.5, minus 115 for Bobano. We move on to a big one in the SEC. 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Auburn Tigers 2-3, 0-2 in conference versus now number 5 ranked Georgia Bulldogs 3-1, 1-1 in the SEC, Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia. Let's get into the line history here to get rolling. We have, first off, sorry, let me find this one. Here we go. We have Georgia minus 24. Minus 24. They opened up minus 23.5. This went down to 22.5 before coming up to 24. It's slight, and then it just dropped, to 23. My bad. That dropped 3 minutes ago. So this just moved back to 23 3 minutes ago, which means there's been a half-point move towards Auburn. Let's get to the total in this one. This total right now is sitting at 52 at Pinnacle. This opened up at 52.5. Got up to 54. Now, that was on Sunday. Got to 54. But now we're at 52. So we've had a half-point move towards the under. Half-point move towards the under. A half-point move or so towards Auburn. And 63% of the tickets are on Auburn. 63% of tickets and 56% of the cash. 91% of tickets and 88% of cash on the over. That's an enormous amount on the over. I'll put that note there for me. So the Bulldogs have been beating up on Auburn. They've won 7 straight. This is an old-timey series between these two clubs. And this is the longest streak that Georgia has had beating Auburn since 1923 to 1931. And Auburn plays their first road game of the season. They come on off their second straight loss, 27-21 at home to Oklahoma as 1.5-point favorites. Here is another situation that just shakes your head. They outgained the Sooners 482 to 291. They put up 26 first downs compared to just 11 for Oklahoma. They're up 21-10 with 9 minutes left, and they lose. Peyton Thorne will start at quarterback again. Hank Brown had a couple of opportunities. Second-year freshman, 3 first-half interceptions in that loss to Arkansas, and no more opportunities for you. Thorne threw for 338 yards and 3 touchdowns versus Oklahoma, but he threw the pick that was returned, for a touchdown in the fourth quarter, and it hurt very badly. So Georgia had a enormous winning streak on the line, 42 straight regular season victories that came to an end in the loss to Bama. They still have 26 straight home games that they've won, but here, can they cover the 24? They come off their first loss of the season, 41-34 to Alabama as 1.5-point favorites, lose the turnover battle 4-1. And their defense looked vulnerable. They hadn't allowed a touchdown in their first 3 games. And then they allow 41 points and 547 yards of offense. Another thing, they hadn't let us touch on, but in their 3 games against FBS opponents, they've struggled in the first half. This team has not looked good early. They had a 24-0 halftime lead over Tennessee Tech, but we're not talking about that. Against FBS, they've been outscored 36-16 in the first half. Imagine that. That's very, very surprising. We have a big one on our hands, Bobano. Auburn, Georgia. Take it away.
I love these spots where one week I'm betting against the team, and the next week I'm opening up my arms to them. And that's what I'm doing here with Georgia in this one. Of course, I was on Bama in the big showdown last week. And by the way, if that game just shows you, Alabama, Georgia, there's something about when those teams play, there's points galore. You can't explain it. It just happens every time those teams play, that it becomes a shootout. And this goes back years, but it happened again last week. I'm just going to – now, the question I had was, how do I bet Georgia? First quarter, first half, full game? How do we approach it? But clearly, this is a bounce-back spot against a team they are capable of annihilating. And look, Auburn's offense is just not good. Doesn't matter anymore. Hank Brown, Peyton Thorne, Jimmy the Bag, Ian Cameron. Doesn't matter who's at quarterback. It's not a very good offense. It's not a very good offensive line. I don't like the skill position talent. Hugh Freeze is coming unglued, basically in the press conference, kind of throwing his quarterbacks under the bus a little bit. It's not a good vibe right now at all with Auburn. That's a brutal loss because they actually battled their ass off on defense against Oklahoma last week. Thought the defense was going to carry them to a victory, and sure enough, bam, Peyton Thorne pick 6 right in your eye hole right at the end, and then Oklahoma ends up getting the victory there late in the fourth quarter with that pick 6. Brutal loss. Now you got to try to bounce back. Georgia offensively has been very helter-skelter. Haven't always hit on all cylinders. Look at the Kentucky game and look at the bad first half they had against Alabama. But Carson Beck and company got it going in the second half. And I don't think they're going to need to score 35 or 40 here. They might only need to score 31, and they're going to have maybe a solid chance to cover this number because of just how putrid Auburn's offense is right now. Because of the slow starts, which have been an issue for Georgia, this could be a game. Maybe they're a little dopey early and then they roll them in the second half. I'm going to opt to go with the full game and only the full game here with Georgia. So for me, Georgia minus 23, minus 108 at Pinnacle.
What do you think of this total? As you said, Auburn's defense has been strong. Georgia's embarrassment was not offensive. When you talked about what Beck did, their embarrassment was defensive. So do you think that there could be heightened defensive intensity here? Prove a point. Did you have interest in the under?
Auburn's defense is certainly better than the offense. That's not, we're not splitting the atom figuring that one out. But when you start to look at the schedule for Auburn, you played Cal. They got 21 points. That's Mendoza on your home field. Not the greatest performance. You played New Mexico. It's not saying a lot. You played Arkansas, who have had look, Taylon Green's a work in progress for Arkansas. That's not an explosive up and down the field offense, Arkansas, by any stretch. And they still lost that game. And then Oklahoma's offense had issues all year. So yeah, the defense is better than the offense, but this is easily probably the best offense and quarterback Auburn's faced. I worry about them a lot more in this matchup. So don't love the under here, but I don't think I'm on the over either. Totally neutral on the total.
I will take more time thinking about this total here. Dougie Wise leaning Auburn. A few cappers leaning Auburn, and Justin McKelvey and others. Wine Time Sports.
Depends on what you think of Oklahoma and Arkansas and all these offenses they've played. The more I look at Auburn's, the offenses Auburn's played. Georgia's a step up from those teams. So we'll see how they handle it. Like Oklahoma's got offensive line issues, and that was a big part of why I think Auburn had success defensively last week. We'll see if they can bring it here against Georgia. To me, this is easily the best offense Auburn will see this year to this point.
I will need more time, but I lean towards the under at this point. Bobano has moved on the minus 23 at minus 108 for the Georgia Bulldogs. We stay at 3:30 p.m. Eastern action. We head back to the MAC. Looking forward to these weekday MAC games coming to us here shortly. But this is Saturday action. Bowling Green Falcons 1-3. Their first game in the MAC at the Akron Zips 1-4. They already have lost the game in conference. We're in Akron, Ohio, Infocision Stadium. Take a look at the line history for this one. This total is at 51, minus 109 to the under. Opened up at 51.5. So we've had a half-point move towards the under. And on the point spread, we have this, here we go, sitting at 15.5. Bowling Green, 15.5 point favorites. They opened up at 14.5 at minus 115. Minus 108, excuse me. Went up to minus 115 before it moved to 15.5. So a point move to Bowling Green and a very slight move towards the under. Cash flow wise, 53% of the tickets are on Bowling Green and 82% of the cash. Then you have 38% of the tickets and 88% of cash on the under. Bowling Green comes in off their third straight loss, and this one was disappointing. We've talked about all these different spots where statistically, how in the world did they fall apart? This team loses 30-27 at home to Old Dominion as 11.5 point favorites. They lose 30-27 despite holding on to the football for 38 minutes and 16 seconds. I mean, they were in complete control of the game. And they lose. Akron comes in off a 30-10 loss at Ohio as 7.5 point dogs. They looked atrocious. This team was outgained 440 to 178 in the setback. I can understand why Bowling Green is a favorite of this size. They're an angry group, but are they going to be able to come on the road and win by margin here, by more than 2 scores? I am interested. Take it away, Bobano. Falcons Zips in Akron, Ohio.
So last week, I hope it's not, I bet against them and lost, or bet on them last week and lost. I'm betting against them this week and they get me and they cover, but I can't see it. That was a wrong side for me with Akron last week against Ohio. I thought Ohio wasn't good enough to be laying doubles, and I'm still thinking back to when Akron was competitive against Ohio State for a large part of that game early in the season, but Akron was totally outclassed in the second half. Their offense did nothing. The defense wore down, and Ohio ran them out in the second half of that game last week. That does not give me good positive vibes about Akron going into this game against what should be an angry Bowling Green team after losing to Old Dominion last week. I think it was definitely a bit of a flat team. Bowling Green's played some big games this year, Penn State, Texas A&M, and then you had Old Dominion last week, right before the beginning of MAC conference play. I think they just fell into, sloppy, lethargic. They weren't great on defense. They were still all right on offense with Bazelak and company moved the ball, but not the defensive effort we're accustomed to from Bowling Green. I expect them to be better here in this one. And I think if they play their A game, and I think they'll be a lot sharper, more focused with conference play starting, they have the potential to win big here. And I'm okay laying 2 touchdowns on the road. So Bowling Green, minus 14. We'll pay up to get the minus 14, minus 134 at Pinnacle.
Did you have interest in doubling down on this first half full game? An angry group here, focused on the road.
Yeah. I think that's not the worst idea. I'll just go full game because I think they'll cover the full game for sure and wear down Akron. Because another thing, too, that you have to think about, Akron hung in there in the first half against Ohio last week. Akron's hung in a lot of first halves this year. Ohio State, first game of the year, first half, they were right there. And then they just got blown out, whipped in the second half of both games. So that's why I'd rather have the full game.
Okay, I've got to figure out exactly how to handle this one, but I like the look. Bowling Green minus 14, buying it down to minus 134. We have Hugh Janus in the house. Sonny Dollywall back from Hawaii as well. It was a wonderful, wonderful wedding, Sonny. I left so full of life and hope and happiness, and gambling hasn't stripped me of all that yet. But it's
I guess you could say Sonny came home.
You can say that. You can say that. It was great. It was great. Bowling Green minus 14 and minus 134 for Bobano. We move on and head back to the SEC. 4:15 p.m. Eastern action. The new number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide, 4-0, 1-0 in conference at Vanderbilt. Commodores 2-2, 0-1 in conference. First Bank Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. We have Vandy, 23-point dogs at -117. Opened up at 24, down to 23. A 1-point move towards the Commodores. Get into the total for this spot. We have, let's get over here. We have this at 54, -111 to the over. This opened up at 55, got up to 55.5. Interesting, this 1.5-point move to the under happened an hour and 20 minutes ago. So it's a fresh move towards the under. We now have a 1-point move towards the under. Let's get into the cash flow here for this one. We have 65% of the tickets on Bama and 50% of the cash. So bigger bets are coming in on Vanderbilt, who only have 35% of the tickets, 52% of the tickets, and 86% cash on the over. So it's a surprise 1.5 drop towards the under. Alabama comes in off that giant 41-34 victory at home over Georgia's 1.5-point dogs. It was impressive, very, very impressive victory. Vanderbilt comes in off losing a heartbreaker, 30-27 at Mizzou in double overtime as 18.5-point dogs, ripping the beating heart out of their chest. But they've been much better this year. Take it away for us. Imagine if they'd won their first SEC game. I mean, that would have been fun to talk about, but of the year. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Crimson Tide, Commodores in Nashville.
Now, I love me some Kalen DeBoer, and I know his non-conference record, ATS, straight up since the days when he started at Washington, has been excellent. But how can you really, really think anything other than this is a really, really, really dubious spot here for Alabama? That was the emotional game of the year. It was incredible, back and forth. You have the huge start. The crowd's going nuts at Bryant-Denny. You let it slip away. Georgia comes all the way back from that horrible first half, takes the lead the very next play after with that Ryan Williams touchdown, and you pull out the victory. You get the interception at the end to seal it in the end zone late in the fourth. Crowd going nuts. You survive. You beat Georgia in a hype game all week, and now you got to respond this week here on the road against Vandy. And a Vandy team that as an underdog this year beat Virginia Tech outright as a home underdog in the first game of the year. A win that's looking better now after Virginia Tech gave Miami everything they could handle last week on Friday night. Vanderbilt goes to Mizzou. The Missouri Tigers takes Missouri to overtime. What were they getting? A healthy number there, 21, 3 touchdowns. And if not for a missed field goal in overtime by Vanderbilt, which gave Missouri the win, they could have won that game. What gives Vandy a chance? Do I expect Vandy to win the game? No. But they have the ability to take Alabama maybe back early, a little sleepy early, coming off the emotion of that game. And more importantly, we see a defense that's slowly starting to get better here for this Vandy. The Vandy defense is getting a little bit better. But more importantly, and they're not going to shut down Alabama and Jalen Milroe. They will get points. And by the way, Vandy is 4-0 to the over. So their defense still has given up points, but why have they covered some of these numbers? Because they have a very experienced, very solid quarterback in Diego Pavia, who has played pretty well, especially in the bigger games where you look at Missouri and Virginia Tech, how well he played in both of those games. So, I look at this as a situation where it's dubious, I think, to me, for Alabama here on the road, Nashville, to say, yeah, we'll win by 24 points. They're a great team, obviously, but that was just such a physical and emotional exhaustion, I think, of that football game for Alabama, that I think it's asking just a little bit too much to say go to Vandy this week, win by 24 or more. I think that's asking a lot. So I will roll with the Commodores here, the Commies on Saturday. Vanderbilt plus 24. Actually, you know what? We'll do plus 23, minus 118 at Pinnacle.
Vanderbilt plus 23. Was that 23 in a hook or just 23 flat?
Well, it's because they're off a win, Chase, with Bama. Bama's off the win. Georgia's pissed. They're off the loss, and that there's a big difference with the spots here. And not to mention, Georgia's playing Auburn, who I'm weaker on this year. I don't think as highly of Auburn. I like what I'm seeing, some positive signs out of Vanderbilt so far this year. And Vanderbilt's at home. Remember that. Auburn's on the road. So, we can't say Georgia and Alabama are in the same spot this week. I don't see it that way.
Was that 23.5 or 23 flat?
23 flat. Yeah.
23 at -118 here for Bobano. I'm interested in moving on, Vandy. I feel like I kind of want them first half. And I know that Alabama exploded first half, but that's where I think that they could be susceptible, is right off the hop on the road after that huge thing. But you're not thinking of doubling down, and you preferred full game over first half.
I probably personally will split it up, but I don't. Again, with the way the units are on this show, everything's flat, everything's the same. So I don't want double the units on the same team. I just don't.
Okay.
If I could say one smaller than the other, or make them both smaller equally, I could. But yeah, I can't. So we'll go full game. Yeah.
I'm very interested in joining you here, but Nunya says roll Tide, baby.
Hey, it's always scary going against a team like Alabama. This goes back to the entire Nick Saban era. It was always scary to go against Alabama, but this is difficult. Like I'll tip my cap if it's 31-3 Alabama, or 38-14 or something for Alabama in this game, and they cover. I'll tip my cap.
No,
I think it's difficult.
I like it. I'm interested. Very interested. Let's roll on. 7 p.m. Eastern is our next spot. South Alabama.
One last thing. The key for Pavia is to attack that secondary. There are still issues with that Alabama secondary. Attack it. Be aggressive. Don't run the football constantly and try to bleed the clock. You're not going to win. Certainly not going to win that way, and you may not cover that way. You're going to have to be aggressive, take some shots in the passing game with Pavia, because that secondary, look, I don't want to say it's bad for Alabama, but it's absolutely a work in progress right now. And it'll be better, but right now it's not a great secondary.
Certainly looked vulnerable. We roll on. 7 p.m. Eastern action. South Alabama Jaguars 2-3, 1-0 in the Sun Belt. At the Arkansas State Red Wolves, we're in Jonesboro, Arkansas for the Red Wolves Sun Belt opener at Centennial Bank Stadium. Let's get into the line history here. We have, I just had it here. Sorry. Here we go. We have this total at 62.5. That's where it opened. 6 cents of movement towards the under. There had been 19 cents of movement. 9 cents of movement. It was -119 to the under, now -116 to the under. Still 6 cents of movement to the under, 62.5. Let's get into the point spread here for Saturday night, 7 p.m. action for us. We have, losing this one again here. Okay, here I got it. We have Arkansas State plus 3.5. There are threes out there. This opened up at 3.5, and then it pretty quickly, in about 15 hours, went down to 2.5. That's a big move from 3.5 to 2.5. It hung around at 2.5 for a short period of time before it went back to 3, and it just moved to 3.5 1 hour ago. So 1 hour ago, it moved back to. Oh, no, sorry. That was yesterday at this time. Sorry. 24 hours ago, it moved back to 3.5. It's interesting that this is a 3.5 at Penny, because we see threes. I guess no. Bet Online's got the 3.5, but Bookmaker hanging a 3. Heritage has got a 3.5 for the pick'em, so I take that back. Lots of 3.5s out there. Let's get to the cash flow for this one. 80% of the tickets, 80% of the cash on South Alabama. 80 and 80. 77% of the tickets and 83% cash on the under. A lot of cash on the under. Interesting. So let's roll. South Alabama comes in off a 42-10 loss at LSU as 20.5-point dogs. Nobody spoke that highly about South Alabama's defense, but good God, did LSU gash them. 667 yards of offense against the Jaguars. Arkansas State comes in off an ugly 52-7 loss at Iowa State as 18.5-point dogs. Another spot where it was a pretty ugly performance. Iowa State outgained the Red Wolves 490-182 in the loss. Now, that was at Iowa State. This is a much better situation, but now we're coming off both teams who were embarrassed last week. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Jaguars, Red Wolves, Sunbelt action in Jonesboro.
this is a it's actually an interesting game because I think there's some good angles with side and total in this game. South Alabama still doesn't have much of a defense, and that's still the issue with them. It looks more and more like the Appalachian State game was an anomaly, that they only allowed 14. They just Appalachian State was it's like they were disconnected all night on offense. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't run. They couldn't protect the quarterback. Joey Aguilar didn't play great. But really, outside of that, they've struggled. Ohio's not a great offense. They gave up 27. They got obviously pounded by LSU last week, 42. Still don't think it's a great defense that misses Kane Womack, who, of course, has moved on from South Alabama. Their offense, though, with Gio Lopez is quite good. I mean, obviously, they struggled with LSU last week, but, before that, we saw the points they've been able to put up. Arkansas State is still a very shaky defense, and we've seen that. They gave up 31 even to Central Arkansas, 24 to Tulsa, 28 to Michigan, 52 to Iowa State. So I don't trust their defense. I like the over in this game for sure here with this game as far as the total. I might add Arkansas State, though, with the side. The total, by the way, over 61.5, minus 112 at ProLine Plus. So that's the number with that. I think I'm going to add Arkansas State, though, plus 3.5, minus 110 at BetMGM, because I just don't trust the South Bama defense enough just yet to be laying more points than that on the road. And I do like the offense for Arkansas State with Jalen Rayner at quarterback. Timmy McClain, they've actually used both guys because there's been a couple games when they played better teams where Rayner struggled and they went to Timmy McClain. But Timmy McClain's been around the block too. He's someone that's very capable, more of a passer, but he's been solid. He was with UCF in South Florida before this year. Rayner's more the athletic running quarterback. I think they're still solid on offense. Their defense struggles, but I think their offense could take advantage. And if they use both, it could be something that throws off South Alabama, where you got one guy that's a better runner as a quarterback in Rayner, and McClain, who's the better passer. Plus, the last thing that probably is good for Arkansas State, South Alabama's played Ohio, Northwestern State, App State's way down this year from the looks of it, and LSU. LSU obviously is a legit tough opponent. Arkansas State, they've played Michigan, they've played Iowa State, two very good teams so far this season. It's not like it's been easy for them by any stretch of the imagination. They had to play Michigan and Iowa State back-to-back weeks on the road. So I think Arkansas State has some value here. So I'm going to take them plus 3.5 as well as the over.
You got it plus 3.5, minus 110, over 61.5 at minus 125 for our guy, Bobano. We roll on 7:45 p.m. Eastern. UCF Knights 3-1, 1-0 on the road at the Florida Gators, 2-2, 2-1 at home. We're at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville, Florida for this one. Let's get into the line history here. We have the Florida Gators at plus 2.5 at minus 102, plus 2.5 minus 102. They opened up as minus 1 point favorites. That lasted for 30 minutes before they were 1.5 point dogs. But they got back to 1 point favorites again. They got back. That was on Monday. They got back. But then 2 point dogs bouncing all over the place. This line's been all over the place. This was a 3.5 plus 3.5 for a while. So this market been fluctuating enormously. Still 3.5 points of movement towards UCF. 3.5 points of movement towards UCF. Let's get into the total for this one. That's a big move towards UCF. From a total standpoint, we have a 61.5 minus 112 to the under. This opened up at 59.5 and climbed up to 61.5. So it's a big move towards the over, 2 point move towards the over. And when we get to the cash flow, I thought I had that set up. When we get to the cash flow, we have 33% of the tickets and 54% of the cash on Florida. UCF was 67 and 46. Then 27% of the tickets and 57% of the cash on the over. So it's not a lot of tickets that's moved this number way up. Interesting. UCF comes in off their first loss of the season, ugly 48-21 setback at Colorado as 12.5 point favorites. Very, very ugly. We've watched both Dabby Cab and Dutch Boy Fresh crush these KJ Jefferson props, doing a hell of a job capping KJ. But the team coming off of a big loss. And then Florida comes in off their bye week. So there was a thought that Billy Napier's job, was hanging perilously in the balance of that 45-28 victory at Mississippi State. Then they come in, and then they get their bye week. Very interesting to think, to hear about the psychological situation of these Gators here. That Florida Gators week 1 versus Miami, the Sharps were all over Florida Gators, and we watched our guy Wine Time Sports, keep doubling down on Miami. And now, what do the Gators look like after this bye week? I can't wait to hear this breakdown. All ears. UCF Gators, take it away, Bobano. We're in Gainesville.
It is a mystery. Like, where are they at? I think they've felt the season had slipped away. Billy Napier's going to get his ass sent home packing just a couple weeks ago, and then they beat up on Mississippi State, albeit it's a very bad Mississippi State team. I can't give Florida too much credit for it, but it at least pumps a little life and positive vibes, and they finally get to feel the taste of victory. And now they have a bye week, and you're getting ready for a rivalry game. So it's very plausible. Florida shows up and plays hard and plays reasonably well. I thought for sure I was going to be on UCF in this spot. But after seeing what I saw last week against Colorado, that was ugly. You can't be allowing 48 points. And I know Shedeur Sanders had a great game, but they got absolutely shredded in that football game, UCF. Especially their secondary, 90 passing yards allowed. Even the run game. Colorado didn't have much of a run game this year. They were running with some decent amount of success against UCF as well. That concerns me. Plus, you got Florida off a bye. I don't love betting against that or betting into that, with a team coming off a bye week. I do lean UCF, but the bet I'm going to go with, and the one I feel better about, stronger about, is the over. I think both teams have pathways to success offensively. The Florida run defense is still an issue, in my opinion, and it's the kind of run defense that's given up 188.8 rushing yards per game, 1/10 in the country. We know Gus Malzahn, going back to Auburn when he coached there, it's a run-first offense. Yes, it's up-tempo. Yes, it's spread, but it's a run-first spread offense, and that's what they want to do. They want to run the football. KJ uses legs. RJ Harvey running the ball as well at the running back spot, and they should be able to do some damage. This is a very bad Florida run defense. But I think Florida can probably chuck the ball down the field through the air against UCF. It's a bad secondary. They got exploited last week by Colorado. So I think it's going to be both quarterbacks again. It sounds like Napier might use both, like he has done the last couple weeks at Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway. He might use both of them. So, but I think UCF's defense, they sure as hell showed me enough vulnerability really in the last two games. TCU, they didn't play great defense either. Gave up 34 points, the 48 to Colorado. So I think it's a shootout. Back and forth all day between these two teams. Would surprise me if this is some crazy 38-35 game, when it's all said and done. So I'll go over 61.5 minus 104 at Pinnacle.
Over 61.5 at minus 104 for our guy Bobano. We roll on. 2 games left for best bet action from our guy Ian Cameron. 8 p.m. Eastern, we have the Kansas Jayhawks, 1-4 on the year. 0-2 start to Big 12 action at Arizona State Sun Devils, 3-1, 0-1 in the Big 12 Mountain America Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Let's get into the line history for this one.
Actually, you know what? Let's make it with the UCF Florida over. Let's make it over 61 minus 112.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I like getting the 61 in case we get 30. There's some numbers that can land on like 31-30, for instance. So yeah, over 61.
You got it locked and loaded. We move on. Yeah, and 34-27.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, 34-27. Yep.
We hit Kansas, Arizona State. This total is sitting at 50.5. It's sitting at 50. It opened at 50.5, so we have a half-point move towards the under. Let's get into the point spread for this one. Spread-wise, for this must win for the Jayhawks, is 2.5. Jayhawks are 2.5-point dogs. They opened up as 3-point dogs. It's a half-point move towards them. And let's take a look at the cash flow. Cash flow-wise, we have 32% of the tickets and 82% of the cash on the Jayhawks. That's legitimate. Big bets coming in on the Jayhawks. 72% of tickets and 70% of cash on the over. I've already been let down by these Jayhawks in a similar situation here, which I will go over with you guys. But let's roll into the spot. Kansas comes in up their 4 straight loss, 38-27 at home to TCU as 1.5-point favorites. And TCU put up 507 yards on Kansas. Ugly stuff. And I was on Kansas against West Virginia. At West Virginia. And I moved on Kansas, a very similar situation, 2.5-point dogs. And I felt really good about that for most of that football game. They fell apart in the fourth quarter. They were up 28-17 after scoring that touchdown with 5:39 left in that game. And then they allowed 2 touchdowns late. They allowed a 2-point conversion on the first touchdown. It was just very, very tough to watch Kansas completely break down late in that football game. Arizona State comes in off their first loss of the season, 30-22 at Texas Tech as 4.5-point underdogs. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Jayhawks, Sun Devils, and Tempe.
Very interesting game. This is very interesting. This is basically a collision of 2 handicapping thought processes. The one being that Kansas is now undervalued because of some of their recent struggles. And I think there's an argument they might be, because this point spread wouldn't have been Arizona State minus 2.5 before the season in this game. But the other argument is Kansas may just not be that good this year. And Jalen Daniels is having problems, which he is. And Arizona State might be a lot better this year with Kenny Dillingham. And I think they are. And let's not forget, this is a home field where Arizona State's performed well. Now, I will say the wins against Wyoming and Mississippi State have not aged too well for ASU, because those are some pretty bad teams. But I am concerned about Kansas right now and where they're at. And the way they've let games slip through their fingers, the way they, again, played on defense down the stretch last week against TCU, which I was happy about because I had the over. And the way they pissed away the game against West Virginia the week before that, the way they blew the game against UNLV before that, they have just found ways to lose football games. Their execution in the fourth quarter has been piss poor. It's been bad. It's not a team where I have confidence anymore, where they can go on the road and get a win against a solid team. Arizona State, I like Scadaboo, the running back. He's terrific. I think they can run the football with success. Kansas defense, I think, is getting worse by the week, not better. Sam Leavitt has been a pleasant surprise, the new freshman starting quarterback here that they got from Michigan State in the transfer portal. It's been very solid. I just see 2 teams going in opposite directions, and people will say, well, this number wouldn't have been this early in the season, but I think I've seen enough of Kansas to know they're just not going to have the season they've had the last 2 years under Lance Leipold, whereas Arizona State is going to be a decent amount better than they were last year. You're getting less than a field goal. I don't mind it. Give me the Sun Devils here. Forks up, minus 134 at Pinnacle.
Arizona State money line minus 134 for Bobano. We roll into our final spot here in college football best bets from Bobano, but we have Kongs Klips wanting to jump on and give us some best bets. So we'll go over to Kong right after this one. Let's talk about the final spot here for Bobano. Hawaii Rainbow Warriors 2-2. This is their opener in the Mountain West, as it is for the Aztecs. Their opener 1-3 on the year. Their opener in the Mountain West Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego, California. Let's get into the line history here for this one. San Diego State minus 2.5 and minus 106. They opened up at minus 3. So we have a very similar line movement to the Kansas Arizona State game that we just broke down. From a totals standpoint here, move down to the bottom. Sorry, from a totals standpoint, we are sitting with a 49.5 minus 115 to the under. This one opened up at 47. Now it's a 49.5. But the first move was towards the under. This got down to 46 before it started climbing very quickly. This got up to a high watermark of 50.5 yesterday. Now we are sitting at 49.5, but still a 2.5-point move to the over. 2.5-point move to the over, and a very tiny, very half-point move to the Rainbow Warriors. Take a look at the cash flow then for this one. We have 30% of the tickets and 91% of the cash on Hawaii. This is similar to Kansas. Kansas had 32% of the tickets and 82% of cash on them, and it moved from 3 to 2.5. Then we have 89% of the tickets and 77% of cash on the over in this one. So Hawaii comes in off a 36-7 home victory over FCS Northern Iowa as 10.5-point favorites. Outgained the Panthers 530 to 199. San Diego State comes in off their third straight loss, 22-21 at Central Michigan. Now they were 2.5-point dogs there, and then they scored 21 points because they just scored 10 in their previous two games, losses at Cal and at home to Oregon State. Take it away for us, Bobano. Warriors, Aztecs, and Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego.
The old Snapdragon Stadium. I love that. Love that name. Look, these two teams are 7-1 to the under combined. I have a feeling that might change here. Hawaii is supposed to have a good offense. Braden Shager and company. You look at the number; they haven't always clicked this year. The UCLA game was ugly when they only scored 13 points. They got shut down by Sam Houston State on the road in their only previous road game. But I think they have a chance to do a little bit better than that here against San Diego State. You look at San Diego State, they have not played a really great offense yet. The best offense is probably Cal, and they gave up 31 in that game. They gave up 22 in a loss to Central Michigan. Their offense isn't anything to write home about. They played Oregon State, another pedestrian offense. I mean, this is definitely, I think, going to be the best offense San Diego State's played. I think Shager and company can move the ball. Let's not forget, even though San Diego State 3 straight games have gone under, I will reference this. They are 9th in the country plays per minute. Sean Lewis is their head coach, who was at Kent State before this, and Colorado as OC under Dion last year, where they're playing extremely fast on offense this year. It hasn't clicked yet for Danny O'Neil at quarterback and this Aztecs offense. But I don't want to miss out on the week when it potentially could click for this offense. And I think this could be it against Hawaii, who still have a shaky defense. And especially when they go away from the island, Jimmy, that defense has struggled under Timmy. They just aren't the same. They 31 points to Sam Houston, the one true road game they've played this year. So I think this could be the week at home where we see that NASCAR pace, as Sean Lewis likes to call it, San Diego State. And look, it's a big time challenge to go from a run-heavy, plodding offense for years under Brady Hoke at San Diego State and suddenly transition to throwing the ball a lot more, playing a lot faster. And we've seen growing pains for San Diego State on offense because of the paradigm shift and just how big a shift it is and change and difference from the offense they ran last year. But I think this is the game where they could finally get some traction on offense. You saw it in spurts last week. Hawaii's defense is still shaky away from the island. On the flip side, San Diego State's defense is still a little dicey to me, and I think Shager and the strength of Hawaii, which is their offense, can move the football enough. And again, we're not talking about a total in the 50s or a total in the 60s. We're talking about a total in the high 40s here. It's doable. It's manageable here to get over this number between these two teams. So I think this San Diego State's going to start hitting some overs, okay? When you're playing as fast as they are, 9th in the country, you're going to start going over the total. The question is when. I think this is a chance for them to finally go over that number, especially based on the matchup they draw here against Hawaii. So we will go over this total here, Jimmy. Last game on the card here on this show, Hawaii and San Diego State over the total here of, I'm just going to see if I can sort out the best number with that. But yeah, I think this is going to end up being the week here for it. So over the total here with Hawaii and San Diego State. Over 49 minus 120. There we go. At Pinnacle.
Over 49 at minus 120. And I thought you were also going to end up backing the Aztecs. But
close. But the defense is shaky to me still for the Aztecs, and they've shown it. It's been on display.
Excellent job, Bobano. Let's review all action before we hear best bets from Kongs Klips. And then we race for $150. $150 up for grabs for our gold members. And we thank Cody Norton and the Nuke Worker for putting it back in. That's a lot of money they're putting back in. Our guy Old E in the house. Great to see Old E. Let's review action here. So and we'll review all action from our cappers in the chat here, shortly. But Bobano is on the +3 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, paying a minus 135 for that. We can get you a better line. Thank you for that. Over 49 at minus 108 at Bookmaker. That's
There we
12
go.
cents cheaper.
Excellent.
So excellent job. Thank you for that, Billy, my man. Then let's move into college football action for Bobano. He's on Texas State -13 at -114. I'm very interested in the under in that one. Then he's on UTEP +11 and the over 50. I'm also on UTEP, but I got +10, unfortunately. Then Bobano's on the over 57 at -128 in Syracuse UNLV. And then on Saturday, he's on Pittsburgh moneyline at -140 and the over 63 at -120. He's on UMass +17.5 at -108. I'm very interested in the under in that one. He's on Army -11.5 at -115. And he's on Georgia -23 at -108. I have some interest in the under there. Then he's on Bowling Green at -14 at -134. I want involved. I want to be involved in Bowling Green quite badly here. I'm not sure exactly how to bet it. I probably don't want to do double ups here. And the same thing comes to fruition in the Vandy game, because maybe I should only bet first half in that one. Forgetting about, obviously Crimson Tide falling apart in the second half. I think this is a letdown spot too. I agree with it. Bobano's on Vandy at +23 -118, and I got to figure what to do because I don't want to double up. Then Bobano's on the over 61.5 at -125 in South Alabama, Arkansas, and Arkansas State, and Arkansas State +3.5 at -110. He's on the over 61 at -112 in UCF, Florida. He's on Arizona State money line at -134, and he's on the over 49 at -108 in Hawaii, San Diego State Aztecs. Spectacular job, Bobano. Next week, NHL. We'll decide exactly the best way to utilize, I should say.
I hope you enjoyed the longer analysis this week, because it ain't going to be that long next week. We're going to have more games to deal with. College football, best bets. We're going to have Thursday football, Thursday hockey. We're going to have to be briefer and to the point.
Yes, we're going to have to connect here is what's the best way to utilize your skill set as we move into NHL, because of course I want to cap NHL with you. That's just from a sports fan standpoint. So we'll discuss all of that. We have 2 channels we need you guys to support. We're talking hockey, so of course the Ice Guys, please support the Ice Guys this year, and of course Hitting the Books. They have their own YouTube channel. It is CMAC and Bobano working together. And please support those 2 channels. I subscribe to them. Please do so as well. And subscribe to Bobano on X at Bobano Bets. Bobano, excellent work, my friend. Any last words for the cappers supporting the show?
No, just you're right. Hitting the Books every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Connor Mack and I, great show. We're really getting a lot of support. We appreciate it. The Ice Guys, we've got our Western Conference season preview show coming up at the top of the hour, 2 p.m. Eastern. Me and Alex B. Smith, we did the Eastern Conference yesterday, Western Conference today, and then we're back 7 days a week next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern on weekdays, noon Eastern on weekends. 7 days a week, every NHL game all season, breaking down from a betting perspective on the Ice Guys. So check that out. We got guests galore scheduled to join us, including some former NHLers. It's going to be a great season of shows right there, again, with the Ice Guys. Love it. Just like I love being on this show every Thursday, betting with the bag. Jimmy, good luck this weekend. Everyone in the chat, good luck this weekend. Let's cash.
There he is, Ian Cameron here. And as a special bonus, a capper who is being straight fire to start the college football season. Busy work day for him, but he wants to jump in and give us best bets, and we want to hear his best bets. So please welcome our friend, Mr. Kongs Klips, to the program. Kong, what's good, man? How are you?
What up, Jimmy? What up, chat? I'm doing good, brother.
Kong, my man, take it away. I'll be tracking your action. Thank you for making time for us, my guy. Take it away.
All right. So had the employee appreciation day at work. We got a big cornhole tournament going. So I figured I'd hop on. I'm looking at Tennessee. I love them full game, but I think a sneaky angle that we can hit in this game is going to be Tennessee first quarter, -3.5. Their defense is stout. They're holding teams. I don't think anybody scored more than 14 on Tennessee this season. I could be wrong. But I think Tennessee comes out and puts up at least 1 touchdown, if not 2. If Tennessee puts up a touchdown and Arkansas puts up a field goal, we cover the number. Tennessee first quarter -3.5, -110.
Yes, that can be picked up at -108 at Pinnacle. Some books
Love it.
charge you more for first quarters. So it's some books, but you can get it -3.5, -108 at Pinnacle, and -110 at other books. Tennessee first quarter. What else are you looking at, Kong?
All right. So we're going to go to the Ohio State game. I know there's a few people that's on Iowa to cover here. We'll skip that. Iowa's defense has taken a step back this season, and Ohio State's defense is real stiff. One of the best defenses in the nation. So I'm going with Ohio State team total over 35.5. I think they get there. I think they put up big points. I know they have a look ahead spot for Oregon next week. So maybe the defense lets Iowa score some here, but I think they get over this team total.
Ohio State team total over 35.5. I will also do some line shopping for that one. What else are you looking at, my man?
All right, so that was all I had on the college, but for the Thursday night football game tonight, I'm looking at Godwin 10.5 first quarter receiving yards, Evans 58.5 receiving yards. I'm on Tampa Bay money line and Bucky Irving to score a touchdown. So I bet all that separate, and I also have that in a parlay at plus 1,100.
Plus 1,100. Godwin over 10.5 first quarter receiving yards. Evans over 58.5 in the game. Bucky Irving touchdown, and Bucks money line at 11-1. I love it, Kong. Thank you so much for making time for us, my man. Go crush them at cornhole. Go get.
Yeah, they just called my name, brother. I'm out there.
Okay, respect, my man. Tennessee first quarter -3.5, -108, and Ohio State team total over 35.5 for Kongs Klips. Kong, thank you for making time for us, my man. I'm gonna pop your Twitter handle in the chat. Please support our guy Kongs Klips. Kong, any last word for the Cappers supporting the show?
Yeah, shout out to the chat. Shout out to Jeff Slaughter. Shout out to the best damn chat in the game. Let's go make some money this weekend.
Let's go do that. There he is, Kongs Klips here, coming to us from work. Customer Appreciation Day for our guy Kong, and we appreciate him too right here. Billy Friedrich says Iowa will cover in that spot. I will take a longer look at that spot, Billy, my friend. Saturated says, do they call it cornhole in Canada? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They call it cornhole, just like America. We're just like you guys. We're just like you guys. It's not bags. It's cornhole. Cornhole, my friend. Okay, Iowa will cover. All right. That is our show for today, but I know what you guys are thinking. $150 up for grabs. Who's going to get that cash? So let's get into it right now. Let's welcome back our friend Jose Bouquet to the show. Jose, of course, on the under 7.5 at -120 in Mets Brewers. We're not weirdos, Saturated. Billy Friedrich said his bags where he hails from. How are you, Jose?
Good. I think I'm getting sick, so I'm dying slowly, but it's all right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you get better here because we've got a big weekend ahead of us, and we start with $150 Camel Race. We need heats for this one, so can we do?
You'll have to give me a couple minutes, son.
No problem. Is that okay? Can we do heats? Because $150 up for grabs, man. It's
Sure.
a big deal. It's a big deal. We could do 3 heats or 4 heats, whatever you would prefer. And Billy Friedrich says we are all dying slowly, Jose. Now, some of us faster than others. That is true, but you're absolutely right, Billy Friedrich. And it's no thoroughbreds today, Justin. I have fallen for these camel races. Now, when we get closer to the Breeders' Cup, we'll move back into thoroughbreds. But $150 up for grabs. While we're setting that up, let's review action here from Cappers in the chat, and Jose will let me know when we're ready to rock. I'm on the Brewers -1 at +121. Curious to see what's going on with that line here. Move over to Pin Around the World, and we have the +117 on the Mets, -127 on the Brewers, and the Brewers -1 is +120. So it's not really moved. Not really moved there. Okay. And Jose on the under 7.5 at -120. You could get that right now at -123 at Pinnacle. So that's a good sign for you, Jose. That's a good sign. Market moving towards the under. Then we have Justin McKelvey, Churio, over 1.5 bases at +133. And he's on UTEP +5.5 first half at -110. UTEP +5.5 first half at -110. A little side note for you guys. It's not a big deal, but I was early in my capping career reprimanded from older cappers, older experienced veteran professional gamblers for writing FH instead of 1H on first half bets in both football and basketball. It's not that important, but I do remember being told to always put 1H always in your action instead of FH, especially in basketball. A little note there for you guys here. JP says he just wants to eat a donaire. I respect that. Let's talk football here. DJ 100 grand on the Buccaneers under 43.5. Truth Tellers SGP Bucky Irving. Over 44.5 rush yards. Bucks total points over 20.5. There's our guy Redbeard CLC in the house. Great to see you, Redbeard. You know what? We'll come down and visit you, Redbeard, because we got Pubapalooza coming up here shortly. Oh no, Justin McKelvey, it's not you. It's a bunch of people. It's just a note. It's first half, not it's 1H. Always put 1H instead of FH. 1H instead of FH. Justin Thompson here with his full card. Coup over 1.5 field goals, over 43.5. Brewers money line. Brewers -1.5 and the over 7.5 for Joe T. Are we ready to rock, or should I keep going through action? We're ready to rock. Okay, so we'll close with the rest of the action from Cappers in our chat, but I know we want to race. Are we doing 3 heats or 4, my friend?
4 heats, 80 members.
Oh, I love
20 people each.
And then we'll have 12 in our final race. I love it.
Yes. So 12
I respect that.
People. Shout out to all these members out here. The first heat, we have Chris Boggin, Kent Davies, Dutch Boy Fresh, Connor Mac Picks, E. Burke, Philly Eagle Flyer, Voodoo Ranger, Chosen One, Am I Lying, Preston Ekdahl, Big O, Nutflush 16, Jay Peasy, Randall Sheffield, Big T, Fernando Mendoza, Johnny Guns, Chill Will, Kelly McInnes, and wow, Nutflush Allen. He has both his horses in this race. So that kind of sucks for him.
These are camels.
You're
Respect
right.
the animal, Jose. Respect the animal. Also, can we not get back to the full screen right now? We got to.
Yes, no, we will be.
Okay, beautiful. And then one more thing before we race. Big thank you to Cody Norton and the Nuke Worker. Both of our guys gave back the cash for the community, which now means $150 on the line here from our guys. We thank you both. Truly class acts. So $150 here up for grabs because of our friends Cody Norton and the Nuke Worker. Jose, take the first 30 seconds. I'll handle the last 30. Let's rock.
Let us rock indeed. We're off and racing in beautiful, still San Antonio, Texas, because it does get this hot in here. We do have desert periods in this time. It's a beautiful time. Chris Boggin out in front right now. Kelly McInnes. And as we've learned from these camel races, they stick together.
Tightly bunched.
They stick together. They're scared to take leads early. And these are a bunch of smart jockeys here. Chris Boggin out in front right now. Jimmy, who's coming home?
Let's see who comes home. Chris Boggin trying to find the wire, and that's a long neck getting closer. But so is everybody else. Connor Mac Picks making a big move. Kelly McInnes, who broke his... No, Kelly, no! Kelly has dropped back out of the spot. And Chris Boggin falling back too. But there goes Jay Peasy. Jay Peasy trying to find it. Here comes Nutflush and Dutch Boy Fresh. Kelly McInnes coming back. Look at Kelly. But Randall Sheffield flying to the wire. Am I lying? Comes in. Randall Sheffield, am I lying? And it looks like the chosen one, but it's very close. Yes. Am I lying into the finals? 150 American up for grabs. Randall Sheffield in second. And who's in third there? The chosen one. The chosen one.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes, the chosen one
there.
No worries. So our top 3 are locked. Kelly McInnes, you were coming back when I thought you were gonzo, but you did break your maiden, Kelly, my friend. All right, that is the first heat The first three, and look at Nuke says if I win, it'll be 200 next week. You're a good man, Nuke. You are a good man. It wouldn't be next week; it'd be tomorrow, man. Tomorrow. Jose, who's next for us, my man?
Yes, who is next? Indeed, great question. It is. We have Al Cervix, Kongs Klips, Ron Crawford, Dabby Cab, K Wolf, Justin McKelvey, Nuke Worker, Matty Ice, Old E, I'm That Heat, Jimmy the Bag, Zoe Faye, Jarek White, Little Domo, Sweaty Butcher, Ken Wood, Big Ragu 62, George Wood, Joey Marinaccio, and Director 97 as well. So it's a very, very chock full group of names that we all know and love here. So it should be very interesting indeed. The Camels are finally back in their holding cells. Their canals, I guess, is what we call them here.
Well, that's what you call them.
And they're ready to start again. The sun is shining. I hope you guys rented out one of those trackside huts. Very affordable, those trackside huts. Oh, Zoe Faye out in front right now by a nostril. Al Cervix, Kongs Klips, Jimmy the Bag, all in the mix here. We have a long way to go. Nuke Worker, a $200 race on the line. If Nuke Worker can get through Sweaty Butcher and Jimmy the Bag, you're in the mix.
I'm in the mix. I'd like to be involved. Zoe Faye has the lead here. Craig Wood also moving forwardly in this one. Sweaty Butcher not messing around. And Ron Crawford won. Kongs Klips also wants it. A lot of movement here, and Jarek White is fired through. Jarek White is continuing to push, as is the Nuke Worker. We need the Nuke Worker to get into the finals. We need the Nuke Worker to hold on here so we can have a $200 race on Friday. Nuke Worker getting on here. Little Domo flying late. Little Domo getting paid. Wow, that was an exciting race. And Dabby Cab. Wow, it looked like it'd be Director 97. Director 97 getting bucked by the system. There. Can you please review the winners there in that last one?
Yeah, Little Domo, Ron Crawford, and Dabby Cab going through there. Wow.
I thought I thought Nuki was going to take care of business here. Exciting. So we are halfway through. We have 4 heats. We're halfway through, $150 on the line. I love watching these camels run, man. Love watching these camels run.
They're majestic. There's something about these camels, you know?
Yeah.
Their gallop, though, their gait with their neck, it's just really mesmerizing here. We have another group ready to run here. This group: Ricky Bobby, Boogie Main, Bo Jackson, BT, NJ Striker, Crystal Craig, Helga, Nunya, Big Show Pick, Saturated, Top Set, Julian Cesario, O'Brien Palmer, Fanatical Jim, Juan Ruiz, TJ, Rez Mob, Nasty Nate, Coin, and old Jose Bouquet rounding out the field here. And this is going to be a good one here. A lot of names here, including myself, because we know this is all about late pace. And who's going to come with it? Saturated, busting his load early, Top Set in here as well. And Nasty Nate, Coin, and Jose Bouquet just lying in wait in the back, waiting for the time to strike, Jimmy. This is the time to sit back and relax. Saturated, Juan Ruiz up in the lead right now.
Saturated looking strong. Juan Ruiz is a 3-time champion. Fanatical Jim right there as well. BT looking strong. That is our top 4. Fanatical Jim slipping back, and Juan Ruiz. Oh, no, Juan! Juan has fallen back, but Saturated right there still. Saturated trying to come home with it, getting to the final. Saturated trying to get that neck to the wire. And here comes Bo Jackson and Juan Ruiz coming back as well. Bo Jackson trying to get to the wire. Will Bo Jackson get there? Fanatical Jim. Nasty Nate flying late. Oh my God. Nasty Nate into the finals. Wow, it's not horses. That's why. Nasty Nate into the finals. I was shocked to see Nasty Nate flying late. Look at that. By the way, a big happy birthday to our friend Gerald Jones's daughter, Lyrica Jones. Lyrica Jones, that's a movie star name. Isn't it just Lyrica Jones, a movie star name, turning 4 years old today. Happy birthday to Lyrica. Love to you and to the Jones family. Love capping with you, Gerald. A wonderful, wonderful day for you and the family. Lyrica turning 4 today. Wow. Shocked to see Nasty Nate. Just shocked. And look at the defeatist attitude he has. He says, we all know what's going to happen. I mean, this guy, wow. Just, is this the day?
It could be the day. And shout out to Lyrica. That's a beautiful name there as well. Our last heat, if you didn't hear your name, you're in this one. I'll tell you that right now. So that includes Chris Boggin. Actually, I went to the top there. Excuse me. Billy Friedrich, Joseph Thompson, Sam Coleman, Nate Dogg, Juan Chavez, Jason Myers, Skun Blaster, MMA Mad Hatter, Joey Harb, Tori Coker, Jeff Slaughter, Stacking Cream, Gerald Jones, Ricky Levine, Paul Taylor the Sailor, Sharon Pullian, Ryan Kozlowski, Salty Pete, J Dub, and our guy Goki, aka Goran Nikovsky, in the mix here. So we start off our last race here. Who has the chops to get into the grand final for $150? The richest camel race in all of North America. Tori Coker out in front right now. Billy Friedrich just lying in wait, just like the White Sox, Billy. Just waiting for your time to strike. Jeff Slaughter back there, but again, he knows it's late pace, Jimmy.
It is late pace, but Tori Coker trying to find the wire. Here comes Billy Friedrich on the inside. Billy Friedrich and Joseph Thompson. Joseph Thompson now has his neck out. Oh, no, Joseph! God, no! Joseph slipping back, unfortunately slipping back. But Paul Taylor, the Sailor, continues to move forward. Joseph Thompson finding another gear right when I thought all was lost. Joseph Thompson says this camel has heart and character, but Billy Friedrich moving forward. Wow. Extremely impressive. Ricky Levine making it into the final. Billy Friedrich also making it into the final. Who came third there, Jose?
Yes, so that was a Ricky Levine, Billy Friedrich, Joseph Thompson, 1, 2, 3 there.
Oh God, what a high octane final we have. 12 camels, but only one camel. Only one camel will be $150 richer when this is all said and done. Good God, this is exciting.
Yes, it is. And we have our final set. Good Lord, is it exciting here?
$150.
Yes.
You know what that is, Canadian?
No.
Let's find out right now.
Let us indeed find out. 200?
Oh, it's got to be $203.16.
Oh. Look at that. Math guy right here. Math guy.
This is exciting. We have our finals. We have Joseph Thompson, Billy Friedrich, Ricky Levine, Fanatical Jim, Nasty Nate, Bo Jackson, Dabra Kadabra, Ron Crawford, Lil Domo, Chosen One, Randall Sheffield, and Am I Lying? 12 camels vying for one champion and $150.
They're champing at the bit to find out who will come through. The Cinderella story. Nasty Nate in the mix has never won a horse or camel race or duck race in his entire
or
life.
Dog or greyhound
or greyhound.
Or swimming.
Today
He's not want to swim
that
either.
all changes. Randall Sheffield, Fanatical Jim, Dabby Cab in the mix. Billy Friedrich also lying in wait. Bo Jackson, Toronto Blue Jays ticket holder in the mix. Jimmy, who's coming home?
Oh, Nasty Nate inching up. Nasty Nate continuing to inch up. He's trying to get into the lead. Am I lying? Slipping backwards. Am I lying? No, Nasty Nate, Nasty, no. Nasty Nate, no. Fanatical Jim trying to get to the wire. Am I lying? Am I lying? Making a huge move. Nasty Nate back in the race. Little Domo's flying late. But it's Am I Lying? Am I Lying? $150 richer. Am I Lying? Spectacular work. Please email pubsportsradio@gmail.com to get paid in full. Am I Lying was spectacular. What a race there. Dabby Cab fought the good fight. Lil Domo was moving very quick late. Am I Lying? Thank you for being a gold member. Thank you to all of our gold members and all of you in green here. Just looking at the comments, it's all green. It means so much to us. All green comments for a long time there. Thank you guys. It means so much to us. That was fun. Am I Lying? $150 richer. That's nice score.
That's a nice day. And by the way, Jimmy, Joseph Thompson is asking if 11th place pays anything.
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I will send you your reward in your I'll DM it privately.
There you go.
You might not like it. Might not like it. But
it also might be Harry.
Well, might be. Skunt Blaster says, Jimmy Snips, we appreciate everything you guys do. And that's true. That is very MMA Mad Hatter. He's been a winner. Nice to see him.
I can't wait for Publipalooza to happen. And if I invite one of my friends, they're gonna be like, why does everyone call you Snips?
Oh, but then you sit them down, you start welling up.
Yeah, just tell you guys about my traumatic experiences.
Yeah, no, it's a great tale, a tale of woe and hardships that.
You know what? By the way, Jimmy, I am now officially a one-time bee sting survivor as well. I still got stung by a bee this week. I thought I was allergic, so I thought I was dead. Turns out I'm not.
Yeah. No. Well, we're glad that you're still good. We don't have the date yet for Pub 4 Nuki, but we're gonna get it soon. We promise you, we'll get that soon. Let's review all action. Joseph Thompson is what we left on. So Joey Todaro is planted flag fighter of the week. Ryan Superman Spawn and inside the distance prop. He's going for 6 straight wins with his planted flag fighter. Sweaty Butcher Surf and Turf. He bet this on Tuesday. K. Dotton 3 or more receptions. Algier over 32.5 or rush yards at plus 284. Then Millsy is on Evans over 4.5 receptions. Godwin over 5.5 receptions for MMA Millsy. DC Cappers on the over 43.5. Ron Crawford on Tampa Bay plus 7.5 and the over 37.5 teaser. Top set SGP Bucks plus 3.5. Team total under 22.5. That pays plus 275. Also looking at the full game under. Jared TG Bucks money line. Bijan 25 or more receiving yards. That's his SGP. Daryl Lyles is on Baker over 9.5 rush yards. My dude's on the Falcons money line says Bucks are going to be missing their starting right tackle, Gadecki, missing pieces on the defensive line, and no Winfield, my dudes. I truly believe Falcons run game goes off tonight. But Nasty Nate's on the Buccaneers. Tom Leach is on the Buccaneers. Justin McKelvey on Cousins under 1.5 touchdown passes. And BJ on Atlanta Falcons money line. Skunt Blaster, Skunt Bag, play of the day. 1 Bucks money line. Number 2 is Chris Godwin, anytime touchdown plus 170. LJ from H-Down, Tampa Bay, first half plus a half. Says Bucks are 9-2 against the spread in the first half on the road since last season. He's also on Chase McLaughlin over 1.5 field goals. Joseph Thompson, we've gone over that. Daryl Lyles on Evans over 59.5 receiving yards. Birdie gave us the Bucks money line and Bucky Irving anytime touchdown on Bankroll Blitz. I'm just gonna look for the Bucks live. I know I'm gonna get a better number. I'm gonna be watching the whole game with you guys. So why this isn't about how good does your record look pregame. How much money's in your bankroll, and I think I'm gonna get a chance to move on them live, and that'll give me the best opportunity to get paid.
Would it make you feel better or worse that they're 2.5 on the contest? 1.5 when we broke it down and all that. I think 1.5 on books.
Yeah, I thought about using them. Did you think about using them in the contest? I've thought quite a bit about using them.
No, I've been trying to stay off the Thursday games. So.
Thursdays are tricky, and it's a road team on a Thursday. Bobano gave us Bucks plus 3 at minus 135. Then in college football, we went all over that before we closed up, but I'll do it one last time. Bobano on Texas State minus 13, minus 114. I'm interested in the under. Bobano on UTEP plus 11 and the over 50. I'm on UTEP plus 10. Unfortunately, I thought it was moving in the opposite direction. I was hoping we'd see a 9.5 right now. Bobano on the over 57 in Syracuse UNLV. He's on Pittsburgh minus 140 and the over 63 at minus 120. He's on UMass plus 17.5 minus 108. I'm very interested in the under. That was a skull and bones under from Bobano or from Noli. Bobano's on Army minus 11.5 minus 115. He's on Georgia minus 23 minus 108. I'm interested in the under in that one, but I might not get there. Bowling Green minus 14 for Bobano. I'm interested in Bowling Green, and I'm interested in Vanderbilt. I just going to try my hardest not to double dip. Vanderbilt plus 23 at minus 118 for Bobano. Over 61 at minus 112 in UCF, Florida. Arizona State money line in the over 49. Hawaii, San Diego State for Bobano. Kong gave us Tennessee first quarter minus 3.5. Ohio State team total over 35.5 in his SGP tonight. Godwin over 10.5 first quarter receiving yards. Evans over 58.5 passing or receiving yards. Full game. Bucky Irving touchdown and Bucks money line. He's bet them all individually, and he also tied them together in a SGP. Scum Blaster says, tune in tonight to the live stream. Always a great show. Tons of goats giving valuable advice. Yeah, I'm 9-4 live betting with you guys now. 0-1 on an SGP. I'm going to bring an SGP back for Sunday night. I'll bet them here and there. But for tonight, looking for the Bucks. Looking for the Bucks at plus 3.5 or higher. And I expect to get it. And if I don't get it, that's fine. But I do think that's the best opportunity for me. Jose, my friend, I hope you feel better. I'm sorry you're not feeling well. Get better, my man. We'll have Jose Bouquet put a bow on this, but before he does, I want to shout out all of these cappers in the chat. Skunt Blaster, Chip Plylar, Nunya in the house. He also says there's only going to be about 21,000 fans in Nashville because of renovations. Says 18,000 will be Bama fans. Wow. Interesting. Newgore says, see you at the Cappers contest show for members only. That's at 3 p.m. That's an hour and 7 minutes. And Nordy going to join us tonight as well. We need to get Nordy live. Hey, we got to get Nordy. Would love to see Nordy rock with us live. I'll reach out, Nordy, if that interests you at all. Thank you, guys. Viper NB, the Nuke Worker. Am I lying? Now $150 richer. Glad to see them. Am I lying? Thank you for all that you do supporting us. Billy Friedrich Oldie, Kelly McKinnis, MMA, Mad Hatter, Brian Pacone, Joseph Thompson, Nunya, Nasty Nate, Jay Peasy. Thank you guys so much. Truly, truly saturated. Gerald Jones, happy birthday to your daughter, Lyrica. Lyrica Jones turning 4 years old today. We send our love to the Jones family. Thank you guys, all of you, for your support here. Jerry Davis, Ryan Kozlowski, Redbeard CLC. Great group. Thank you so much. Jose, my Wine Time Sports, Kongs Klips, Chris Mack, Eberk, Rants, Irish King 97. Thank you guys. Jose, my friend, can you please bless our action and lead us into the future?
Yeah, let's get up out of here. A short 3-hour program today. Look at us, guys. Look at us. It will only get longer from here. And by the way, don't forget to put your Edmonton Oilers futures in, because I put mine in today, plus 800.
Plus 800, yeah. No, I'll have mine in by the end of the night.
So there we go. Nuke, Rebecca, a.k.a. Nordy, Chip, Viper, all you guys. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys in about an hour. And if you don't see us then, we'll see you at the live stream tonight. Until then, leche, los bookmakers.